Good for you.
So that's done.
There we go.
I went to SeaWorld today.
Joe Conti came over with the ladder.
We're rolling. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Celebration Residential Owners Association. It's Tuesday, January 26th. The time is 6:30 p.m. We'll go ahead and open the meeting this evening with the owner's comment period, if there's anyone that would like to speak. All right. Oh, yes, sir. Yep. Absolutely. Owner's comment period.
Thanks. It's great to be the only one this time. My name is Dennis Dowd. My residence is 925 Croton Road here in Celebration. I'm again here, and this is the last time I'll be here, to ask that the board consider returning the flower garden around the fountain at Heritage Hall. I'm not going to go over what I said last time. I'm sure you heard it last time. But I will say that the only way that'll happen is if the board decides to revisit and discuss that. And if you decide to do that, I'll be glad to come and make my arguments again on the record. I will take advantage, since I'm the only one, to just add one more thing. I note that one of the items on the agenda today has to do with a recommendation for the redo of some of all of maybe the landscape of Waterside Park. I don't know. I remember the last time that was redone.
You mean Lakeside? Lakeside Park? I think you mean Lakeside. Okay, I just want to make sure that we're...
The last time that was done, there was a great deal of shrubbery taken out and a great deal of grass replaced. And I hope that the board looks close at any recommendation that entails removal of shrubs and flowers and replacement with grass in any of our common areas. I will say this without too much malice, and just say that a recommendation and advice from a non-resident for-profit contractor does not necessarily reflect the best interest of the residents of Celebration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else this evening for owner's comment period? All right. There being none, we have a presentation this evening from the EDGE Youth Program. All right. Good evening. Yeah, go right up there, yeah, for our folks at home.
All right. Hi, my name is Matt Didway at Community Presbyterian Church down the road. One thing I noticed from being new is that there are an extreme amount of students between the ages of 6th and 12th grade that I noticed downtown. We started just getting together and playing two-hand touch football and frisbee, and before you know it, we were always open to any student that wanted to join. No questions asked, just a holistic, positive place for them to come. We've had every kind of student, from the student who's never played football before, and we take them aside and we teach them how to catch, throw, hang out, to the student who's a fantastic athlete that does really, really well. And we just noticed right away that a lot of youth in this area, we felt like, are looking for something to go to after school. And so a part of what we would like to offer is a place where any student can come, no questions asked. We have all vetted, trained volunteers. We've all had, we do checks on every person that comes of a variety. We have a school at our church, so we have to make sure it's an extensive background check to make sure that it's not just Osceola County, but Florida and even nationally. And so we felt like on Tuesdays from 4 to 6:30 that we could use that area, the front yard there in front of the Jones Room, plus the inside building, for anything from board games to hanging out, for students to come and talk, and where we don't necessarily ask them any questions, not necessarily an agenda for us to say, hey, this is what we want, but just a place that they know that they can come to that's positive, good reinforcement, and a place that they feel welcomed and can continue to go from there.
Perfect.
One way that we would try to get this out to the community is through social media. everything from Facebook, of course, which is kind of the standard, through Snapchat, that's very popular. One of our biggest ways that we get word out is through word of mouth. A lot of times students, they come, they have a really good time. They get to know the adults there, and because it's a judge-free zone, they just tend to really enjoy coming out. They're able to be themselves, and they tell their friends about it, and before you know it, you start off with 3-on-3. By the end of the day, it's 15-on-15 kind of free-for-all sometimes, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a really positive place for them to be at.
Sounds great. So I know, just so folks are aware, we're kind of a dual purpose of Matt being here this evening. I know we're working on some logistical and some scheduling things, Steve, that I know you're reaching out to them on to try to figure out how we can accommodate there. But then also, part of the purpose for Matt to be able to be here tonight is to give a little bit more familiarization about the program. We want to be able to provide the opportunity to community organizations and areas within Celebration to use this area as a forum in order to be able to speak to the folks that are here tonight, as well as to the folks that are watching at home and on the replay. So Matt, if folks want more information, where would they find out about this, or where should they go, or what would you recommend?
They can go to compres.com, where I'm under the staff page there. So my email is there, or you can contact the church and they'll give you out my information through that. We see this as a gift to Celebration, and that we understand that the town has certain things that they need to make sure are covered, and we understand that the town has some quality points that they want to make sure aren't crossed or staying within boundaries of what's good for the town. And so we feel like we just want to do this as a gift to the town and a gift to the youth of Celebration.
Thank you. Eric, I have one thing. I know Kathy had wanted to speak, and she came in like 1 second after owner comment. May she speak? Kathy Carlson?
Yeah, as soon as Matt's done.
Okay,
Yep, that's
okay, I
fine.
just wanted to...
So any questions for Matt?
Matt, how many days a week are you talking? How many kids?
We're looking at Tuesdays from 4 to 6:30.
Okay.
PM, Jack. PM.
Not
Yeah. And so-
FedEx works
I know FedEx works around the clock, but yeah.
After school, the high school gets out plenty early, so they're usually there. And then a lot of middle school students walk over from the middle school. And then, so there's Tuesdays from 4 to 6:30.
Okay, and how many kids?
It depends on the week. So sometimes we've had some anywhere from about 10 to 12, and then some days we'll have anywhere from 25 to 35 students. And that's just purely word of mouth, a place to be.
Now, you talking to use the Jones room or Lakeside at the...
both areas.
We would like to
areas.
definitely continue the outdoor activities, but open up the Jones room for students who might not be into athletics, and they, a place where they can come, and it could be anything as simple as maybe we set up a small TV in there with some video games, where they come and they can come and play video games, to maybe board games, or really we'd put a team together, and then we would figure out the best use of how we can make it a gift to the students.
And Matt, are you willing to work with other churches in the area for any combined effort if they had tending room, or any of the churches?
Yeah, definitely. I'm still very new here, so I don't necessarily have their contact information, or know who they are, but it would definitely be something that I think could be a real positive team effort to go forward. And I would say that would be any organization. It wouldn't have to necessarily be a religious organization.
Matt, where are you meeting now?
On Tuesdays? On Tuesdays, we do it at Lakeside. We play football at Lakeside, and then we do Frisbee at North Village Park. And like I said, it's just been mostly word of mouth, going from there.
Sounds good.
I think the idea is we would like to put a little bit more structure around it.
Sure.
And once again, kind of offer it through the front porch, through the, and that kind of thing, to put a little bit more structure and a place for them to come.
No, that sounds good. Perfect. Thank you, Matt.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much.
Thank
And
you.
your wife is a teacher in the area, I heard. Where does she teach? Or
My wife is the ESC teacher at the K through 8th grade school. So she's...
our school here?
Yep, our school here. Yep, here in Celebration and loving it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kathy, you wanted to speak this evening?
Just for a second, my background is guidance and personnel services. I've taught at high schools and colleges, Purdue University, and colleges, high schools throughout the country. And one of the things I've noticed, in addition to being a gold sponsor for the Celebration Marathon, is that when you get 2,500 runners in here, this is our third year, I cannot tell you when we talk, they ask about our community. And they ask about, is it gated? Well, obviously it's not. They ask if it's an aged community. It's not. Then they ask about, well, I have teenagers, that pesky time of life. Do you have anything for our teenagers? And of course, I'm able, having lived here, to talk about what we do offer through through here. So the one thing I've noticed in my professional background is consistency is what wins the day with our youth. It's trust. So word of mouth is great, 25 or 30 students. My guess is, to your question, Jack, is that it might become much larger. Once you get your social media and they know where it's going to be, it's like, well, where is it? Is it North Village? Is it here? Where is it? Then parents go, wait a minute, if you don't know where it is, you can't go. So I think that the real thing with youth and with parents' trust is consistency. And I think what they're talking about is they don't know our community, but is to become consistent. So they can say to kids, if you don't make it this Tuesday, it doesn't mean you can't ever come again. You can come next Tuesday. I also like the demographics. It's hitting male and female. I know for a fact, because I work with a lot of youth in the community, that girls will play Frisbee. They might not play basketball. So I like that location specifically because it gives you the basketball. Girls do play that as well, but it also gives you the Frisbee idea, and then it gives you, as he very adroitly said, it gives you the kids who don't do any sports at all. But I think when it picks up the trust, there are volunteers, apart from any church volunteers, that would be more than happy to help. You might remember years ago the Celebrators, those of you who've been around for years, the Celebrators used to do the youth at Heritage Hall. And they used to have them come in, and if you walk out, you can't come back in because, you know, we want your parents to know they dropped you off here and it's safe. And the Celebrators, and I'm a Celebrator, realized that was just a huge, huge endeavor for volunteers as the Celebrators. It's hard to keep going, you know, the age bracket. And I think that we've got the youth. It's a gift. We're not using our resources as a community other than the spot, but we're not paying extra personnel. And it's definitely not even interdenominational. It's just non-denominational. And I think it's really important that we keep in mind that we take care of our elderly and our handicapped through Thriving in Place and through our challenged Thriving in Place. And we take care, I mean, not to be facetious at all, but really we're looking at a holistic community. We're taking care of pets through the Dog Park Initiative. And this is our youth, and I really feel that the Catholic Church, by the way, I did my little reconnoitering and said they did not have a youth group at all till just recently, a year ago. Those of you who are a part of that church, they have about 30 kids that come there, but they realized they had to do it because the kids really need a place to go. So if this gives us structure and it gives us a place for youth, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Yes.
Hi, I'm Carol Ann Swagler. I'm a resident of Celebration since 2002. I live across from the school, and if these kids had a place to go, then maybe they wouldn't break my shrubs as they walk down the sidewalk. No, seriously. I just wanted to say I really endorse using the facilities that we have in this town and using them to the maximum. And I think the idea of having the Jones Room available for youth to go, I think it's kind of, if you have a field and you build it, they will come. I think the different people in the community that are involved with the youth will latch on and coalesce together and work for the good of the youth in the community. And I know traditionally these things happen because church groups get them together, but I do not think that a youth center even though there are religious groups involved, is a religious activity, and I think it's a need in our community. We have a space, and I would endorse it as a resident, as a grandmother, as, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. For folks that have seen the agenda, we have an extremely full agenda this evening, so we'll go ahead and move forward. I'll verify the meeting was properly noticed.
Yes, it was.
And we definitely have a quorum, so we're going to move to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:45 p.m. Do I have a motion to adopt the amended agenda?
Motion.
All right, and any discussion? No. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the December 14th, 2015 Board of Directors meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports. ARC? No covenants. Parks and Rec? Perfect. Financial report.
JR was going to get up.
Oh, sorry, JR, you want to get up? Come on up, JR. Come on.
Wow. Give people time to hear you.
Listen, we're all paid by the hour up here, so.
Like I said, both your information's in the board packet. It's just stuff since the last meeting. Community Chorus had their holiday concert December 19th. Over 250 people attended at the Community Presbyterian. The One Blood was at our January food truck event and had such a successful night they asked to come back to one in the spring again. So we'll be welcoming them back again. Parks and Rec had their inaugural pickleball event here at Town Hall, and we also did a volleyball marking up at North Village Courts. Had a decent turnout for that on the 16th.
Newly renovated
volleyball
courts. If you guys haven't been over there, I would strongly encourage you to drive by. They're very nice.
If anyone hasn't heard, it's the father-daughter dance in February. And
the what?
Expanded by popular demand.
Father-daughter dance has moved to the K-8 gym. We've arranged with the school to have it over there. Currently, we are at 300 tickets sold.
Wow.
So we might be running into a capacity issue soon, but
So what's the, do you know what the capacity is?
probably 330 for what we need to do. So there are still tickets available for those out there in TV land.
At least it's been for sale now for a while.
30 left?
There are.
Yeah, 30.
There's about 30 left.
Going fast.
This is pretty amazing when you think about it, but also think about the growth and the master plan, because in 5 years,
It's gonna get a lot bigger.
it's not having access to a gym and not having good communication with the school and everything else.
Indoor recreation
We have
space.
good communication.
I'm not saying, right. I'm just saying, we have to continue that.
Consider that, yeah.
I wasn't saying anything negative. Yeah, I wasn't saying anything
It
negative.
was wonderful, by the way. We went over
Yeah.
right away. They said, yes, whatever.
With their plans, so.
Thank you, KWA.
Yeah, exactly.
And just a sidebar here, you need to get something scheduled for moms and sons. We've got daddy daughters, so we need to get something for moms and sons. I'm getting lots of.
Yeah!
I think-
I guess, yeah.
Why not? Come on.
Got to do both
Let's see what
sides of the
happens.
fence.
We're looking at some
I'll
options.
challenge you.
Don't know if a dance necessarily is
No,
too
no, no,
fit,
yeah,
but we are looking
something
at it.
more that, yeah. I'm
Dragon
sure you
boat
got a lot
race.
of people who give you ideas.
So close anyway.
Our annual Posh Pooch event is February 27th at Lakeside. Starting second week of February, we will have nice media presence in the area. Did a billboard, buy newspaper, magazine, radio, internet, all through the grant that we received from Experience Kissimmee. So that went a long way. Some upcoming events are Porch and Yard Sale. Spring Porch and Yard Sale is March 5th. Annual meeting March 8th. Home Expo March 19th. And then our Easter egg coloring is March 23rd and the egg hunt on the 26th.
So if you're interested in getting on the map for the Porch and Yard Sale, make sure to reach out online to JR's team to get on for that, as well as, what was the other event that we got to reach out to you for?
Home Expo.
Home Expo. The Home Expo, if you're a vendor, reach out to JR. I guess that would be that thing. So, perfect.
I had a quick question. I wanted to thank Matt and Emily for coming and from starting this conversation. And just mention I'd also called the Jewish congregation, and they have spoken to their board, and Temmingren, which is with Illuminate Church, and I didn't have time, I'm sorry to call all the other ones, but I will, but I didn't know, Matt, if you had Jared's contact, that he would be the person, and Steve, to start that conversation, and thank you for reaching out.
All right, thank you, Jared. Financial report, Ms. Kearns.
Okay, as of December 31st, we had $1.8 million in operating cash. Our December income came in under budget by $68,000. It was primarily due to bad debt, allowance for bad debt adjustment, and specific assessment write-offs for the month. Our working capital income was $31,899, which exceeded budget by $4,500. Our working capital income year-to-date is $422,000, which exceeds budget by $88,000. And our legal fee income was a little over budget by $2,008, but most of those were legal fees that were charged back to the owner's accounts. As of December 31st, our operating expenses were $446,000. Expenses came in over budget by $89,000, primarily due to administrative expenses and also our other expenses, which were our property taxes for 2015 were due. The expense portion of the recreational facility maintenance has changed to reflect the expenses from various recreation and lifestyle programs. So you'll see individual line items so that you can see the expenses there. Our reserve fund total assets as of December 31st were $3.1 million. Working capital year to date is $1.4 million. Reserves expenses were for a number of items that are detailed there. And that's that.
Perfect. Any questions on the financial report? All right, management report, Mr. Waring. Thank you, Susan.
We have our voting for our annual CROA elections. Will begin on February the 8th. So we will be sending out all of our online information and then the paper information. And there will also be clear instructions on how to vote in the paper.
So, Steve, how will people be able to vote this year?
They will be able to vote online or through paper ballot. Perfect. And they can drop the paper ballots off here at town hall.
Are they getting a paper ballot in the mail too? Or
I believe through Simply Voting.
They're just sending both like that.
You get both.
Both
Yeah.
options, yes.
It's the same company we used in the past, so same
And
process.
it's on the agenda for
Right.
an action item to approve. On March 7th, we'll be counting the ballots. In the past, PJ Cartwright has helped with that, and she's done a wonderful job, so I reached out to her and asked if she'd be able to assist with that, and she said yes, so I thank PJ for that.
Thank you, PJ.
He yells at me every year, though.
I will also be asking PJ to help me identify more volunteers, and we'll look at the list of volunteers from last year, but thank you, PJ, for that. A quick update on the Civic Corridor. The dog park is moving along schedule. The conceptual design with the overlay on the topography map was sent out to the board members for feedback. We compiled feedback, gave it back to Mark with Anson and actually met with him to talk to him a little bit about it. So that's been given the check mark to move forward for TCC approval. They also completed the geotechnical exploration. They did some cores into some soil areas, specifically parking lot areas where the county will require some samples. And they got the report back from Universal Engineering Services, and it's being reviewed by Mark. Doesn't look like there's any issues.
No caverns?
No, it looks
We're
like
good.
Things okay. We didn't strike oil.
Can you stand so we can gauge?
Sure. You
can stand. There's no actual speaker in here, but...
Speak up, Steve.
All right, let me find where I was here.
I would love a mic. Thank you. 'Cause I can't.
So the next step for the dog park now is that TCC will approve, hopefully, go through the back and forth of getting their feedback and approval, and then they'll complete the as-built survey and submit to any remaining agencies for permitting. That's Reedy Creek, that's Osceola County. There's a few different agencies that we have to go through. And then we'll start putting the bids together, the bid proposal package, and send them out to some companies and look for selecting a vendor to do the construction of the dog park. The next item there would be what's considered as Area 2 or Phase 2 of Civic Corridor. And that's past CDD property and past the golf park property. And through our master planning process, this was recognized as the rectangular fields. Those are athletic fields for multi-different type usage. We also have the restroom that's going to be built down there in the parking lot. So I met with Mark and Danny both this week. We had to revamp it a little bit so that we can meet with CDD and with Gary Moore to discuss the building of the road to get us all the way out there, and then the assessments that come along with the building of that road. So I was scheduled to meet with Gary tomorrow. We've rescheduled it to today, and we've rescheduled it to tomorrow. So I'll be meeting with them tomorrow afternoon.
What time, Steve?
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
What time?
We'll be meeting at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
We've talked about the golf course a bunch of times.
Right.
We still haven't met with the golf course at all, and I know that we've tried to.
Yeah, we met with them, but we didn't get the owner.
Right. So how do we get further along? Because I think that I'd like to. I don't do that. I think I'd like to propose, and pie in the sky, is that they actually give us that land instead of paying for this road that's going to be there. They're going to have some cost for this road for them,
right?
And hopefully, right, if it goes the right way, they'd have to pay for a road that goes to their parcel.
Sure.
So they're not using it now. They may never use it, but maybe there's something they can do. They might be able to donate it to a charitable organization. Maybe there's some way that they could get some sort of write-off or use it for community. I'd like to approach them officially as opposed to waiting for it to get too far down the road.
Well, I can tell you, Dave and I met with the general manager there, John, and we made the ask for donation of the land. We asked him to take it back to the owner. The response back is that at this time the owner is not interested in doing that. The next step is for us to work with CDD to talk about building that road, because once there's an actual assessment tied to that road, it could change those conversations a little bit.
And it wouldn't be tax deductible for them to just turn it over to us, I would assume, unless we made it, the ownership was...
You have to be a 501c3.
Yeah. So maybe there's some way we can...
Could maybe through the, don't we have like a rec?
Right.
We have a 501c4.
Yeah, so and maybe there's something we can talk about offline that maybe we can structure that maybe make it more palatable for them.
Because it's still the resident in North Village that don't, okay.
But I agree that the road will help, but I think that's maybe we kind of...
Well, in the road, it's kind of the first domino that affects a lot of different things, because if the road is built by CDD, then they can require the assessments. If we built the road just on our own, we can't assess anybody for it. So we want to.
Well, part of your conversation with Gary is going to be talking about that possible pathway across the.
That's going to be part of the conversation. The other part of the conversation with Gary is going to be who maintains the road long term. Is that really the business that CROA is going to be in? Are we going to be maintaining the lights and potholes and those types of things, or is it something that we can donate the land?
I'm thinking if you give CD a vested interest, like they own that pathway and they own that land and design to want to build a pathway to connect to that pathway, they have the right to build that road, and that's where we're going to get the right to charge back.
And then that's the other part of the conversation too, is through the master planning process, we identified a trail system to go through there, and there's a bridge that has to go over that creek area. And hopefully, if it's a government entity that owns that land, they can get some grants for it. So that's what we're working towards.
Okay.
So that's the update with the athletic field side of the Civic Corridor. We'd like to have the proposals brought back to you for the February meeting. We tried for this meeting, but we want to make sure we get all the information and they're correct, and then get those back to you for the February meeting. The last part of my update is for the water meters and CROA parks. In December, I met with Brian Smith and Dennis Tenniswood from Severn Trent, and we talked about, the first thing I asked them was that I've heard for a while now that they purchased a lot of meters and they're sitting in a warehouse ready to go in. That's false. That we don't have any meters right now. There have not been any meters purchased. They don't have any in the warehouse. So if we wanted to go out to all the CROA common areas and re-meter those, there's a significant cost involved in that, and there's a significant cost on the CROA side to do that. I don't know all the technical terms, but essentially everything has to stub out of the existing meters, so it takes all the irrigation piping for that. then you have to pay for the meters. And then there's also any concrete that needs to be torn up, any sod. So it's a significant cost to do that. And working with Todd, our operations manager, Todd Haskett, he's reached out to some of the communities to find out what that are like-sized us, find out what they're paying. And what we're paying in water consumption is very comparable to what these other communities are paying. If we were to meter all of our parks and all of our common areas, it's a very good possibility that the price could go up based on having specific meters on those parks. I went to the January 6th ECDD meeting, discussed it with the ECDD board, and they concurred that there would be a significant expense to that. But they also agreed that we'll continue to monitor the system, any efficiencies, any effectiveness, any conservation, anything that we can identify that will give back to the community, we'll continue to look for those processes. But I don't know that buying new meters for all of the CROA parks is the answer for that.
Well, technically, they should be providing the meters, not us.
Well, I asked that question.
It's their water.
I said, was there something in writing?
Did we pay for the meters that were attached to the house? No.
And I asked that. I said, it's the responsibility of CROA if you put those meters in, and they said, yes, there is. I have to see it, but they did say, yes, that they can charge that back. So that is something that we're exploring.
That's a bunch of BS, let me tell you.
I'm just waiting to get it back.
So Steve's going to explore the BS on the meters.
And that's the end of my management report, unless you have any questions. I don't want to keep bouncing back.
Questions on the management report? All righty. Lee, really?
I didn't realize that.
Are you making like porridge over there?
Things are teetotal.
Do I have a motion to open the floor to Kathy Carlson for comment?
Motion.
And a second? Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ms. Carlson? I hate to say it, people up here just because we can't hear you online.
It actually feeds through the capture over there.
There are 3 people watching at home.
Kathy
Thank
Carlson,
you.
I didn't say my name before. I am a longtime resident. I live in Aquila. I just, for transparency, for all the new people that come to Celebration, people here know that I am in the real estate profession. I welcome a lot of new relocation people in. And just for it was the very beginning of your report, we talked about the 2 ways you can vote. You can vote through paper and you can vote through online.
Yep.
It's important that you realize this didn't happen in the past. A lot of people don't understand that are new to the community, that not just all of us who may be residents, but there are 2 blocks left of voting members. That would be David Weekly at Spring Lake at Celebration, the new development along the boulevard. He has several votes that he or she, the David Weekly Company, can vote, and they do. And we have Mirasol, if you know anything about Mirasol. That's another large block. So as you folks go to look at all the different candidates, which you may not even be aware of, please do your due diligence, select your candidates, and do not be at all reluctant to call either the David Weekly Company, whoever that voting member would be, or call the Mirasol Company. I have no idea who you're going to choose, but it is appropriate that you approach those 2 large voting blocks. If you're talking to your neighbor to say, why aren't you voting for Susie Q, you have every right to call those as well. A lot of people are kind of flummoxed at the end when somebody overwhelmingly gets voted, and then they hear later that there was a block that they didn't even know existed. So again, those are owners, David Weekly, as well as Mirasol. I don't know if I missed any, if someone has another thought on that.
Thank you, Kathy. That's very good information.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the election final date is February...
No.
March
7th. Yeah.
March 7th is last day. I believe it's
March 7th,
5:30 is when the voting ends, and then at 6 o'clock the ballots.
Okay.
My question, now that we're on this, sorry. Next, I don't know if we've looked at previous history, because if I got my ballot in the mail, I might vote very quickly, and we have 2 forums, debates for candidates, and my guess is there may be a very high percentage of people that might have already voted by the second forum. You know what I mean?
Even
But
by
I
the
think that
first.
maybe the first. Correct. I was just hoping that maybe you wouldn't get it by that time. But yeah, so I think that maybe when we look at the forum dates, and we should look at the speed, because we know when people vote. in the system, and we could possibly find out that 70% of people have already voted, and we might have kind of wasted our time. And I'm not saying we have, I just think we should look at that for the next time we do it.
Sure. Great point. The first candidate forum is February 11th. It's a Thursday, and that is at 7 o'clock, from 7 to 8:30. And then the Friday after that is Food Truck Friday, where the candidates will be out here introducing themselves, shaking hands, greeting people. And then the last forum is on Tuesday, February 16th, from 7 to 8:30. So
And it's what I believe your voting opens the day before the forum.
It opens on the 8th, so it's
3 days
before the forum. So if you want to wait for a couple days and get a chance to meet everybody, and you're more than welcome to do that.
But by the time you get in the mail, it will probably be after at least the first forum.
And
while we're on voting real quick, the instructions are a little tricky. If you don't do it exactly like it says, and sign it and place it right in the envelope and everything, those are discarded.
They are.
There's no hanging your chads,
Right.
but just be careful to really read through it carefully because we want everyone's vote to...
Or vote online, where you can't mess up.
Online's easier, but follow the red arrows. They tell you exactly how to sign.
You can only vote once. There was a question.
Perfect. Do I have a motion to open the floor for a question from the audience?
Sure.
All right, second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yes, ma'am.
Can you come up? I'm sorry.
My question is, where is this corridor that you're talking about with the dog park and all this?
So the question from the audience was, where is the civic corridor located, where the dog park is and the other discussion?
Sandy and the last name. METVINER. Thank you.
Perfect. So the civic corridor is the area that's located behind the library at the intersection of the Celebration Boulevard and Celebration Avenue, correct?
Campus.
So, campus.
Campus and Celebration Boulevard.
Yeah, they all come there at that spot. So it's the road that exists right now goes to the CDD building that's newly constructed that's back there, and then we're beyond that. So there's a parcel in between there that's the golf course, that belongs to the golf course, and then we own even additional property beyond that. So that's why we have to figure out kind of how to get there, because it's kind of an island right now.
And the dog park is between the library and the CDD building, but Davy has a space. So.
And Sandy, welcome to Celebration.
Yes, thank you.
The forums will be recorded and will be live streaming also, so that you can watch it from your home.
PJ Cartwright.
PJ Cartwright, 1000 Via Capri, since I'm going to be helping with the county. Not that I've ever disagreed with Lee Moore, ever.
I have.
Yeah, me too. But the reason I ask about the recording of the forum, we have a lot of our people who do not live in the community. They may live up north, they live out of town. Okay, when you get the notice, please take the time, go on the, look at the forum, find out, and vote. I really can't stress that enough, because every year when we count the ballots, even the years that we've had very high interest because of other items contained, we still have a very small percentage of the community owners who are making these decisions. Not that they've been wrong, I'm just saying that we want...
We've been wrong, PJ.
No. But I just am encouraging everyone, when you get it in the mail, take action. Please, find out, go on the forums, call town hall, find out, do something. You've invested in this community. You have a right to be heard. We want everyone's voice to count. Please vote. Thank you.
Thank you, PJ.
Steve, are we going to be publishing the candidate essay or the narratives in the paper like we did last year?
We are. It'll be in the paper, and we do have a PDF online after it works through getting everybody more formalized on that. But we do have a PDF with all the candidates online.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any other ancillary discussion on the management report? All right, we're moving to action items. Let's get rolling. We're starting this evening, discussion of the Comcast installation and service agreement. This is tab 1 for those with paper, and we have a guest speaker this evening. So, Amy, I don't know if it's easy, if you just want to introduce yourself, let us know kind of where we're at, and kind of give a quick highlight of everything.
Okay.
I don't need you to read the contract.
Oh, darn. Well, I was going to say we were going to go through it line by line. So I'm Amy Westwood, and we're here to talk about the Comcast agreement at long last. I believe that we're finally to the point where we have an agreement that reflects the desires of Celebration and the desires of Comcast. So in short, Comcast is committing to make an investment of a fiber to the X, fiber to the home, fiber to the building solution with a financial cost to them of in excess of $5 million with no cost to Celebration. They'll deliver their X1, Xfinity voice, video, data, and security services on a retail basis to the community, and folks will have the option to subscribe to their services on that basis. So if you go back to where we started this years and years ago, the goal was to create competition in Celebration, to have multiple providers who would deliver the best technology, leading edge services to the community, both today and in the future, and for there to be competition among providers. So when you take what Smart City has done in overbuilding and upgrading their network to deliver faster internet services, and what Comcast brings as far as their commitment to deliver fiber-based voice, video, and data services, it puts Celebration on par with the best new communities that are focused on technology and delivering these fiber to the home networks. So that's where we are today. We got the legal descriptions approved. Thank you, Steve, very much for that. That was kind of onerous task. They've addressed the comp accounts. We can talk about that with no issue, from their standpoint, based on the intended use of those comp accounts. They're also providing free wireless access points in 9 locations that have been identified, 10 locations of Wi-Fi, 9 free internet accounts, and 3 free video accounts on top of the services that they'll be delivering to consumers here in the community.
So thank you, Amy. And so for folks that are coming in and might be new to the community, Amy's been working on this for
40 years.
Yeah, 40 years now or whatever. But reality, it's been about a year and a half, 2 years to try to get this over the line, to figure out what's going on with Comcast services within the community. The synopsis of where we're at with the agreement that we're trying to work out, Amy had mentioned that there's some comp accounts in there, as well as some in-kind exchanges. And essentially what the association, what we're voting on tonight as part of the contract, is while there's no fee to the association, to the members, and this is not a bulk agreement by any stretch of the imagination, it's completely offered on a retail model. We're exchanging marketing assistance essentially for them in order to do it. There would be an exclusive marketing arrangement for video services, and security services in the community, for them to be able to market on Celebration assets, Celebration media, essentially. And so there would still be competition in the area. It doesn't necessarily limit another provider from coming in here. It's strictly a marketing agreement only. So I know there's been some questions on bulk too. This isn't a bulk agreement; it's a retail agreement as well. So it's not committing any owner or any resident to one thing or another.
I just want to throw something in. The agreement for exclusivity is for video, and what's the term on that?
It's a 10-year agreement.
10-year agreement for so, and I think one thing that Amy said is pretty important is to bring us in services. I think, like other communities, this is the top end services that we'll be getting. This is something we've been looking for a very long time, and I would say, by the way, this has not been a 2-year plan to do this. This has probably been about 10 years we've kind of worked on this process. to try to get Comcast and Smart City. And I mean, and those of you that have Smart City fiber to the home know that's vastly improved and have the ability to have really high-speed internet. But still, a lot of you are left out in terms of the TV and some other stuff. And this is an opportunity that you can certainly do over-the-top services. But this is getting us into the next level, and this is also giving us competition. So what Comcast, if I can basically, to do the same thing that basically Smart City did, but then they have the ability to do a triple play or...
It's really a quad play when you put the security piece into it.
Right. So you were talking about a very big deal, things that we've been asking for about 10 years, working on this. And what we did was, we hired a consultant, which is Amy Westwood, and she's been working on this for a long time, and we're now at the end of that process where we've come to fruition. So I think that I'd like to thank you and the board for the work that you've done. So,
well, if you think I was a part of the WDI team in 1996.
Yeah.
I've been working on this for a really long time.
Yeah.
Part with WDI, and technology has changed so quickly. We could not even foresee what was going to happen back when we were planning for technology and celebration in the mid 1990s. Who would have thunk it? So one good thing about the length of time that it's taken is, when we started with Comcast, it was a coax network, unless we committed to a bulk, which the community did not want to do, rightly so. Right. So, fast forward, that's easy to do with technology. Here we are now with their best platform and, an all fiber commitment. So there's some good in waiting, I guess.
Amy, I've got a question. The agreement is strictly single-family residential units. What about the condos?
Okay, that's a great question. Condos are treated differently from a legal standpoint, first of all. So if you look at condo law, there's something called mandatory access, for one, which basically is a Florida statute that says any resident of a condominium must be able to access service by a certificated franchise cable company. There's also provisions in this agreement that restrict a bulk scenario. So we can't really address the condos as its own kind of governing and deciding body individually by encumbering them with this agreement. But what Comcast has done, and they've done it in writing, is that they will use best efforts to work with the condominium associations who are interested in exploring the opportunity to enter into an agreement, whether it's just a right of entry agreement that says we're going to give you access to our property, or if it's a bulk agreement. So if you look at all of the condo associations and you look at the for rent, multifamily, they all have different relationships. Some have relationships with Summit Broadband, some have relationships with Smart City, some have relationships with Comcast. So if we had put all that in this agreement, it would probably been like this thick, and we would have had to go to each condo association. It's like, what kind of agreement do you have? Who is it with? Does it burden the infrastructure, or is it open infrastructure? Who owns it? So it would have been like going to every home in Celebration and saying, okay, now do you want Comcast service? Who do you have your service with today? It's apples and oranges. But Comcast has made the commitment to deliver the network into and throughout Celebration. So they are going to be motivated to try to recover that cost of the $5 million plus that they're investing and try to get every consumer that they can onto the network. Multifamily is typically the cherry-picked parts of a community. So sometimes you get a provider that'll come in and say, I just want the multifamily because my cost of serving that customer is so much less than it is in a single family home. So they're ready to meet with the condo associations individually as a group. I talked to them again today. They said, as soon as you're ready, let's set it up. Let's meet with the condo associations. Some of them have hired, I think, advisors to help them kind of, manage through new agreements. So it's in process and it's ready to go, but it's not covered under this agreement specifically.
Right. Amy, I just have a follow-up. Jack, do you have anything?
No, I'm done.
Okay. I just have a follow-up. And I know from the cover letter that it said that Comcast intends to use the best efforts to contact the associations. And I know going to every home would be cumbersome because we have over 3,000, but we really only have less than a dozen condo associations in town. Have you contacted anyone at the condo associations, and who did you speak with?
Well, we, working with Steve and Eric, we actually reached out to all the condo associations and asked them formally in writing if they were interested in meeting with Comcast to explore the opportunity to enter into some kind of agreement. So we got responses to those letters, and we provided those letters to Comcast. I don't remember off the top of my head how many responded.
Right.
Maybe a half a dozen or so.
Yeah, I know Rick had some conversations.
Rick Nelson, yeah.
And secondly, and no offense, you don't work directly with Comcast, do you?
With them or for them?
For them.
Oh, no.
Okay. They are not known for their customer service.
They are at the bottom of the barrel.
They are the bottom of the barrel.
They have the most FCC complaints of any provider.
So my concern would be for the residents as a representative, and also for, of course, the condo associations, that this would probably be my last choice if I could pick for them, but I'm not, I kind of yield to people that have higher knowledge about this. But if we were to proceed with this agreement, I would want some type of customer service standards that are far above anything I've ever imagined, because they are, in my opinion, horrific.
They are definitely have a much maligned customer service operation. If you've read the agreement, you see
I've been a customer, and yeah.
No, in the agreement. Oh, yeah, okay. So I think everybody has their war stories about Comcast, and yep, they are struggling. From a customer care standpoint, there's no question. In the agreement, there are stipulations for a couple things. One, a customer account representative on site that'll be scheduled. Certain service level terms. Parity with other communities as far as the services. At the end of the day, it's not regulated like it used to be in the good old days. Right. So that's why one of the reasons why Celebration was so focused on providing choice and competition. So if you just got, you just had it with Comcast, that there was a choice that you could go to. And what that does is raise the level of customer service, hopefully, and of competition. So I certainly understand that Comcast is at the bottom of the barrel. I take no offense to saying that, because if you look at FCC reports and the customer service indexes, they're at the bottom, consistently at the bottom. The great thing is they have a great technology and they have great content. It's just the customer service piece. So they've started these programs and initiatives, especially in Florida, because they have such a huge base of millions of customers. So time will tell if they will be able to improve that level of satisfaction by customers.
You indicated we would have a representative here. I think that's on a quarterly basis. We have to provide them an office space or something like that. Is that a full day they're here, or just a couple hours? Or
I think it would be a full day. I think whatever.
Is that in the agreement? Yeah. I just have heard so many horror stories, and I know that we have most of the providers, because we have functioning businesses in our home, and I think after 6 months of not being able to get through 30 minutes of programming without it going off, and trying extensively for over 40 phone calls, I would have to say I have concerns about Comcast.
So folks that know too, and I apologize because this is a review for some folks here, but this is something that I was actually working on prior to even becoming on the board when we started for this. So I've been on the board for about two years. Well, I've been on the board for 2 years now. 2.5. How about that? So one of the things is that we did work and try to bring in alternate providers other than Comcast or Smart City into the community. The biggest problem and the biggest hurdle that we kept encountering over and over and over again is everyone wanted a bulk agreement with the community. So in other words, they wanted us to encumber every single resident with a service provider. And that's not something that we wanted to do. That was based off of resident feedback, and that was also based off of the feedback of the task force that was set up in the committee that was set up for that. I know there's there's good and bad to a lot of this. I've been extremely close to this for probably way too long, and I will say this has not been an easy road for anyone. It wasn't an easy road with Smart City. Nothing ever happened there. They just went ahead and deployed the network in the community, so they have services now. With Comcast, we haven't. It's been a hard road to try to figure out some things. Part of that's just because they're a larger company as well, so there's a little bit more red tape to get through on it. In my opinion, this is a big agreement, and I'm not completely comfortable with some of it. However, the other option that we have is that this is what we have on the table. There's nothing else really sitting here for a traditional video provider today in the community.
In conjunction with that, since you have been close to it, maybe you can highlight some of the pros of doing this agreement and maybe some of the disadvantages of doing the agreement. Based on your
and I'm not an expert, and I didn't stay in Holiday Inn Express last night. So the biggest thing that I would say that's a pro for us is we would get a secondary fiber network within the community, operated by a secondary provider. Right now, there's Smart City that did deploy a fiber to the home network, so direct fiber optic to the home, and they deliver telephone and data today. So they don't have that video offering today. With that being said, this would give us that missing link that a lot of people are looking for that want the traditional video provider. A lot of people I know, like Lee mentioned, going over the top, either using internet-based television, like Sling TV, or you've just gone completely to Netflix and Hulu or whatever you want, and Apple TV, and that's what people are using, and they're happy with that now. Or they've gone with DirecTV or a satellite provider. One of the things that I will say that I laugh about this a lot of the time is one of the main reasons why we pushed this with Comcast was, for folks that don't know, Spring Lake does not have cable service right now. They have no video provider in that area. Comcast did not build there, mostly because we were working on this agreement during that time. They wanted to see what happened with it. Disappointed with that. It was a con to me. Didn't really show a lot of good faith with the community that happened. I think in a lot of ways we've missed the boat with a lot of folks in Spring Lake because they figured out something else to do for a lot of those residents now there. They're either on satellite or they're on over the top. That's what they're doing because they wanted a video provider. This would fix that for the new folks that are coming in the area and the new homes that are coming online. They would have a video provider, and it would be a fiber deployed network in that area. It's a little too late in some cases there for me. But then again, the hardest thing for me too is sometimes to be objective in the discussion because I don't use traditional video services. I'll put it out there. I see that it's a need and I see that it's important. But I think that having competition, having a secondary network is a pro to it. The only thing, and Amy, I apologize, we've been through this contract so many different times. Is there a construction timeline or terms within when they have to deploy that in there?
So within 30 days after execution of the agreement, they provide you with the construction plans and drawings, and then I believe you have 60 days, maybe it's 90, I think it's 60, to agree to it.
Sure.
And if you don't agree, then the agreement is terminated. So unlike Smart City, where I think there was no agreement.
There was no agreement. Yes.
What Comcast plans to do is provide the construction drawings and then work with Celebration to identify where would you like us to go first. Where does it make the most sense to go first, based on whatever, and have some input to that. So you basically have the sign-off rights to the construction plan.
Sure.
Now, Eric, for those of us who do basic things like we do, I'm still on cable, and I'm sure that there are there are many people out there that just do basic services. They have their standard cable, they have their standard internet, and they have their standard telephone services through however that may be. which I have a feeling is probably more common than not common. So in that circumstance, what advantage would it provide to doing that, or is there a disadvantage in signing the contract in those circumstances?
So it's a positive in that case, because right now we don't have, there's no independent network for Comcast in order to be able to do it. They have aging coaxial lines, so copper lines throughout the community that they're still using, and that they're, for folks that want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, there's fiber deployed that they're leasing from Smart City to the node right now. From the node beyond, in most areas in the community, is a coaxial network, a copper network that they're using for that. That's where we're having some problems. That's where Smart City had all their problems too. For those of us that were on DSL and it went down every time it rained, that's why they ditched it. So to that point, you would have better service reliability for a lot of those. The other thing too is I know the question when Amy brought up X1 services, which is Comcast's enhanced service lineup, and to chime in with Debbie about customer service. Folks will sometimes call up Comcast saying, "Hey, I want this X1 service. It's great." They sign up for it. They get it in the community. The installer comes out there and says, "I can't do it here." Because we don't have the proper network in order to be able to support of an island in the Comcast market surrounding us. So.
Let me take a little bit further. I think sometimes we're a little bit inside baseball. We know a little bit too much, but just to put it this way, is that Celebration was designed. The reason why you had trouble with Comcast, and we've all had trouble with Comcast, and the reason why we're here and we asked for this is because we've all had issues with Comcast. The difference is they're on aging lines. They don't own the lines, the Smart Cities lines that they're using. This was done by Jones Cable. Disney came in, literally an island came in to try to give Celebration the state-of-the-art system back in the day. So we had a decent system. Since then, nothing's been done. Smart City came in, put in fiber, Comcast. You call Comcast, you try to get their next level service, their next best thing. They don't have it here. So this, to 90% of the residents in Celebration, you can get Comcast great cable service with just incredible speeds and all the purchasing that you can do with all their DVR stuff and everything else that you see on TV that you can't do here, you'll be able to do. The really great thing is if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. At the end of the day, you can just run, like Eric is running without TV. He's running Smart City, and he's running it through his computer, basically, effectively, that type of thing. So this gives you a choice. You have a choice. Right now, you have no choice in the community. You have Comcast if you want TV, or you have DirecTV, right? You have to put up a satellite, which is not good for the community. Adding satellite dishes doesn't build community. It doesn't have a community channel. They can't, there's a lot of things that we can do that Comcast will help us with, stream live TV. There's a lot of things that we can do, right, that's an opportunity with a partner. Granted, they don't have great service, but they're the biggest in the world.
Minor issue.
Yeah.
Actually, I live in Main Village, and very rarely does my Comcast go out.
I was a Main Village. I had a
Cable company.
They're a cable company. Right. I mean, everybody has a love-hate relationship with their cable company. At the end of the day, if you could change it, you change it. I don't care where you live. It's a love-hate relationship.
And I think it's more about the customer experience than the service, like it doesn't go off or on. It's
I just want to say the negatives really out of this. So the positives to me are we have an agreement. We have an agreement here that the board that we went through to get to a point right now. It's giving you competition. Okay, so that's one of the biggest things that we wanted to do. You have your choice. The end. That's great. The issue is. For us, it's not costing you anything, right? So the thing is, the only negative that I see, by the way, is that we have to agree to a 10-year marketing plan with Comcast. Now, by the way, so that doesn't mean that this is a terrible agreement and we should throw it away. There are some things in here that I'd love to be able to change and that kind of stuff, but we've come a very, very, very long way to get where we are. And I could promise you that, that in a year, you have a choice of a really good cable system here. When people move in and buy their house and Kathy sells a house, you could say, we have Smart City fiber to the home and we have Comcast fiber to the home. These are are things that other areas in the country are saying and selling. We're not. So we need to be able to do that.
It is a competitive, it used to be a competitive advantage. Now
That's
it's a
right.
requirement. So if you saw the Wall Street Journal article in July,
Right.
where people are basing their purchase decisions on where they can get, the highest speed internet service. Cable TV and phone, that's
Right.
okay, but it's about the big pipe of bandwidth, and people are
Right.
making purchase decisions based on that. And, homes with fiber to the home infrastructure are now being valued at a premium over ones that don't have that. And the other good thing about Celebration, I haven't been in every home, but most of the homes, if not all, were constructed with some level of structured wiring in them. So I'm working with a community in South Florida where it's a nightmare because here comes, company X doing and there's nothing inside the home that can be reused or, to help distribute that signal. So I think it bodes well for Celebration that you do have homes that were constructed with enough of the right kind of facilities inside to at least deliver, to the hub, and then you're distributing wirelessly or, through some kind of local area network.
Sure.
I just have a quick follow-up. I have to step out for a second. As far as the contract and just asking fellow board members, I know we've taken, in previous boards, taken a great deal of time with this and put a lot of effort into it.
And money.
And money.
Yeah.
And they spent a great deal on use as a consultant. Well, I'm sure you're worth it, but every penny. But
Absolutely.
They look like they're worth every penny. But I just want to say, since we have taken this much time, I have two concerns. And one would be that I don't feel that a connection has been made with the condominiums from what I'm hearing from individuals that represent the boards there. But my major concern would be, since we've already taken this much time, I would ask my board if we could consider putting a customer service piece in there, because if you are one person in one individual or one home, you really don't have much of a voice. But if we are looking at something for a community, I want to make sure our residents aren't hunting us down later saying, why didn't you put a clause in there referencing A, B, C, or D? And they are in contracts. I've seen them in contracts, and I would like to take some time, if we can possibly just table this for one meeting.
Are you making the motion to table?
I'm making a motion to table.
Okay, we have to vote on that right now. So do I have a second for the motion to table? Hang on, before I get yelled at about this. Do we motion and second for a table? Do I have to have a second, or do we just vote?
I believe there's a second.
Okay, so is there a second for the motion on the table to table? Okay, the motion dies. Okay, so to the customer service piece, Amy and I went back and forth, mostly Amy, because that's what she gets paid
It's
for.
not like this hasn't been discussed.
Yeah, so the customer service piece, we pushed for with that. Originally, there wasn't anything in it, to be honest. We've gone back and forth between whether or not we have a dedicated person on site, that we go back and forth to a strategic account manager, everything. Since we're not doing a bulk agreement, which is kind of the tipping point for a lot of these things, since we're not doing a bulk agreement, it's doing a retail agreement only, we're given access to this, I forget what they call it.
Cap.
Yeah, customer
Count.
something.
Yeah, there's caps and cards.
Whatever.
Cap.
Some fancy pants customer service person is essentially that we get. The biggest thing for me that all I care about there is that we have a name, that you have someone to call. So is it as good as us having maybe a completely, dedicated resource 24 hours a day with a strategic customer support line and everything? No, but I know that there's other communities
You
that
could
have
fire
that.
them.
Eric,
You
can
could
I-
fire them, just
can I-
not use their service.
You do have a customer
We have a
service
name, the contact.
clause
So
in
is
here,
that
and
for
it
the
says
residents' contact
they'll
or
begin
for
work
the
with service
residents
interruption
here?
promptly
I understand.
and pursue them diligently
I
and
just
resolve
say
them by the next
it's
day.
one of the worst corporations in America.
Hang on, guys. Yep.
The
Go ahead, Steve.
car will be on premises once per quarter on dates and times agreed by both parties. And
Right.
they'll be able to be here at the building. We'll have a table, a phone for them. They'll be able to.
We're going to have a table for them at the building?
We'll provide indoor workspace, desk, chair, and electricity.
It's very specific. Got to provide them
No
with
phone,
phone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and this.
No phone. Got to bring your own phone.
We're not paying their phone bill.
And they use the smart city internet that's here. So.
I have to defer to you because you're
I
strong on
have
this.
two questions. The first one is, what if we signed this how can it come back to bite us?
You can't.
Okay, so it can't, right? So
Well,
if,
real quick on that,
Yeah.
I think what we need to be aware of is just making sure that we're not marketing another video service.
Okay.
We have to provide the once a quarter, I believe, once a month venue or opportunity for them to set up a booth.
Right.
Food Truck Friday is the perfect opportunity for that.
Right.
We have to make sure when we provide or when we utilize these free Wi-Fi and these free internet connections that we're following the rules for that.
What does that save us, by the way?
Well, and we
in cost, what would that number
that's
save us?
significant.
It's no commercial advertising or anything like that.
Or for internet?
Just for
$94.
residential.
And that's per year, so
It's limited.
so there's more advantages.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of making sure I think that what could harm us is if we're not abiding by the contract. And from what I read through here, and Amy's the expert, but it sounds like when you don't, the agreement just comes to an end.
When you don't follow
but not that we wouldn't, but if the question originally was how could this come back and bite us?
I guess if you started marketing someone and they said, look, you can't do that, and you didn't do it, and it went on for a long time, and they could say, oh, we're going to terminate the agreement. They still have a right to serve. So keep that in mind that the easements are being granted by the CDD. So they can come in whether you say they can or not. Right. So like with Smart City, they wanted hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to overbuild their fiber network. And because of choice and competition, and because of this exercise that CROA went through, that number went to zero. Right. So here you have the largest cable provider in the country delivering fiber to the unit, which was a requirement, with no bulk requirement. They can come in if they want to, but they're coming in with a commitment with things that you can actually measure. And with free services, video services, Wi-Fi services, access to whatever 8 million Xfinity hotspots that they have across the country. So if you don't want that, I guess I have a hard time. Like, why wouldn't you want that? The challenge will be, I believe, in the construction and the disruption to the community, because they have to trench or directional bore, however they're going to get to your home.
But it's the same thing that they did just a couple of months ago with Smart City. So it's the same thing, right? And it wasn't torturous.
That wasn't so bad. The difference is they're coming from all the way outside of Celebration, because they own no outside plant here. So Smart City didn't have as far to go because they owned the plant.
They had fiber deeper in the
And
field.
then once they converted to copper, they just went back to that point and reinforced that structure, whatever they needed, and then did the fiber. So it will be disruptive. There will be some disturbance, and that's a downside. I mean, they have construction trucks out here and those kind of things. So I think that's a downside. Is it enough downside to say we're fine with one provider that doesn't provide video and hope that they might someday? I don't think so.
I wanted to say something about and ask you your opinion about the condos. So I think there was a lot of discussion, and I just wanted to lay out over the years you've worked very hard with them to incorporate the condos in this, and I think right now I would say the condos are at best have the best advantage now, because they could take advantage of this. They don't have the advantage if Comcast doesn't come in. So at the end of the day, right now, they can't have any service from Comcast if Comcast didn't do what we're talking about. So they're putting fiber in all the way to your house, and now the advantage for all the condos is to ask Comcast to come in to do it for the residents if the residents want them to. Why wouldn't Comcast do that? But they have no ability to do that if we don't do this, because they're not coming into the community.
Well, yeah, no. I'll disagree with you there. They could have put a shovel in the ground yesterday.
They could have, but they're not going to do it without us giving.
No. I completely agree. There needs to be a financial gain in order for them to do it.
Of course.
However, it's not true, and I want to be very clear on this. It's not true that we're barring anyone from coming into the community.
No
matter
can't
what we do
bar
for this.
anybody.
Right,
The fact is, we're giving them an incentive to do it by giving them a 10-year agreement to actually exclusively market their video services, which is not a big deal.
So that
that's their
impacts
incentive.
their financials.
Sure.
So that says, okay, rather than say I'm going to spend $500,000 to get to Mirasol on my own, now I'm going to be, coming to Celebration. I'm going to have, it's all a business model. How many subscribers can they get? What's their take rate of services? it's all, it's a business model for them. But
I saw a couple of hands in the community, so this is a big issue, so I wanted to get a motion, if we can open it up for resident comment at this time.
Can I ask a question?
And a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I have one question. Why?
Dave's going to comment as a resident right now.
Why? From what I understand, the lift stations at the CDD control were under Comcast, the phone lines or alarm systems or whatever else. Why is it that the CDD canceled that and they went to Smart City? I mean, it just seems awfully odd that a company that's already here, if there was something that, I wasn't at any of those meetings, so I don't know exactly if you know what kind of issue.
I had not heard that.
I mean, even I think Smart City's running the lines straight into, or actually they did already, ran their lines straight into their new building. And it just seems awfully odd. Is there something going on that we don't know about? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It was a choice that they had, and I know from talking with Dennis Wood, he prefers the Smart City option over the Comcast option. And I think part of it has to do with customer service and some other issues, but again, I think it came down to choice with them, and Dennis talked to CDD about making this choice to go with Smart City.
All right, Amy, if we could just open it up real quick for some resident comment. Come on up. Yep.
Stay or go? Do I stay?
You might have to answer questions.
Step back.
So step back. We only have one microphone. Microphones cost $250 a piece, right, Patrick? So we got one.
Take care. All right. My question is, we've waxed very heavily and rightly so on individual homes, units, condos. But right at the beginning, what really piqued my interest, and again, I'm talking because already the runners and families are coming in. And the first thing they asked me is, where are your Wi-Fi areas? Is your town Wi-Fi? So I think we need to maybe jump over to that discussion. And you said they're going to identify nine spots. I'd like to make sure that when they identify them, that we as a board and a community talk about where would those be. There's some obvious places where they should be, where our residents can benefit, like our 5 pools. Those areas should be Wi-Fi, in my opinion, because we're residents and we could go to our pools. So a lot of people want to sit by the pool with their kids and have the Wi-Fi. So that leaves 4. If the number was 9,
The pools all included.
yeah. So I'm not
That's
sure.
at the minimum.
Yeah.
I
So
guess,
I'm not
right?
sure. So I think maybe we should define in here exactly how many, and that they keep them that way. In other words, they don't do it and say, well, we've decided suddenly to take downtown or wherever it is. So I don't know if we have to work with Lexan on that. I don't know what the politics are in that, but I want to make sure that we don't forget that even if you're not concerned about your own home, you have other sources, that Wi-Fi takes us to the next level in the United States amongst the next generation.
They've got it detailed in the agreement.
Good.
They had courtesy video service will be at the Jones Room, Spring Lake Activity Room, the 851 building. Courtesy internet services are Lakeside Pool and Playground, the Amphitheater Park, Heritage Hall and Spring Park Pool, the Green Recreation Field and Pavilion, Oak Shadows Pool and Playground, Pavilion and West Recreation Field and Playground. That's in North Village. That's the pavilion. The North Village Pool and the rec field of the K-8 school and the Civic Quarter Recreation area.
Excellent. And I would just add, if we could have some place where the general public that comes in and they're looking at our community, we could direct them to a certain spot, because if they're closed and gated, that doesn't generate goodwill amongst other people.
Yeah,
so we could identify a couple places where we could say, go there, and that they could use it.
Just clarify.
At the microphone there.
Just expanding on that a little bit, the Comcast solution, the set-top box that they use, or the router, has 2 channels on it, 2 wireless channels. One of those channels is for your residential home, or to the service provider's home. The other channel is part of what creates a mesh network that is used for public. Now, they're totally different channels, so it's not like somebody's going to be on your Wi-Fi in your home, but in essence what it creates, so the more subscribers there are in Celebration, the more this public Wi-Fi network, mesh network is created. So we have the 9 that Jack just read the list of where they're planned to go, but for every home that is equipped with their residential gateway, one of those channels will start creating a mesh network.
So just, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be to Comcast subscribers. So one of the things that I was very specific on in the agreement for those 9 locations is that they would be a publicly available point. There's some restrictions in the agreement on what we can and cannot do with the courtesy accounts, with the courtesy internet accounts. I know I'm still not 100% convinced that we can use them in the way that we want to use them. Just in my gut feeling, in the way that I've read it, the experts are telling me we would be okay. I'm not 100% convinced at that, but from the Wi-Fi perspective, the public access points for those initial 9 identified courtesy account locations is essentially where they are. They would put that Wi-Fi there as well. There would be a publicly available channel as well, in addition to that Xfinity channel that you see everywhere else.
Eric, what do you think what is it that you think that we would want to do that you don't think that the agreement would permit?
So one of the reasons why we're looking at doing these courtesy accounts is to support, we have aging infrastructure at a lot of these locations. We, fortunately or unfortunately, where our parks and playgrounds are, they're not necessarily directly next door to a home. So like for instance, I'll take North Village as a prime example because I've been harping on North Village for 3 years now. We have a DSL copper phone line out there in order to be able to work. We want to support security cameras out at that area to be able to remotely connect to it, as well as key card access readers, in order to be able to also support a Wi-Fi access point in the meeting room there and then at the pool area. We can't really do that today with the infrastructure that we have. It just doesn't exist. So the courtesy account, essentially what we're doing is we're hedging our bets with the courtesy account, giving us the infrastructure that builds out to that location so that we would get fiber to that area. The concern that I have was I didn't get warm and fuzzy when I was talking with them, and they're not going to be warm and fuzzy about it because they don't want us to be, on what we could do from a private network side on our courtesy account. So for instance, a courtesy account commonly for Comcast, I'll give a prime example. When I was in a fire department up north, we had a courtesy account from Comcast that was plugged into a desktop computer that was it. We weren't allowed to connect anything else to it, essentially, which worked fine for our purposes that we had there. There's certain provisions that we can't connect our own wireless network to it. We can't do different things like that. So we just have to be very, very specific on what we can and cannot do on that network.
I went through your list with them, and they're like, fine, everything was fine. We won't get them to expressly put that in the
I know
agreement.
that, right.
They say the reason that they caution on that is because the response time for those courtesy accounts is similar to, well, it's a comp account.
There's no service
there's
level
no
agreement.
SLAs,
Right.
those kind of things. So that's why they, address it the way they address it.
Sure.
Because there won't be SLAs. But the only place that they could not really, say that's going to be fine would be if you needed a static IP.
Sure.
And that's it. But for the most part, we went through the list, and if you look at, their policies, they address both commercial and residential services, and there was no delineation or differentiation in the agreement.
Between the two.
So I don't know if that makes you feel better about it, but again, in going through the list with them, that was their response.
I've read through all the policies again when we could get the link to work, and it doesn't look like there's anything that would address this other than maybe usage load. But
Right,
I don't think that any of these things are going to.
Big data hogs.
Yeah, we're not going
Are we
to.
gaming on those?
Yeah, we're not going to
Phishing and
go crazy. Yeah.
spamming and all that stuff.
So, resident comment? Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to know why Addison Park Pool isn't included in those numbers.
Sure, absolutely. So the question from the audience is, why is Artisan Park Pool not included in the area? The short and quick answer to that is it's not a CROA asset. It's not a CROA asset. So I live in Artisan Park, so I'll help you out here since I'm intimately familiar with the internet structure that we have out there. Artisan Park service area is a separate service area which has a private clubhouse that's paid for out of a supplemental due that those of us that live in Artisan Park pay. And Kathy, correct me when I steer off here. And so that is part of their budget that they budget for. They have Smart City out there right now for internet services in there, and there is actually an existing Wi-Fi hotspot that's there. And then for video services, they use DirecTV or someone like that out there. So, but the reason why it's not included in this agreement is because it's the same sort of situation as the condos. They're a separate entity that we can't enter into an agreement for them. And so.
All right.
Can make a motion?
If they wanted to, yeah. If they wanted to, yep.
Motion to adopt the.
Yes, sir.
I'm a resident of Spring Lake, so where do we fall on all this? Is there still going to be a conflict with Comcast serving at the same time as Smart City?
So the question from the audience was about Spring Lake and whether or not Comcast would deliver services essentially to that area, and where we kind of sit with Smart City and Comcast delivering to the same location. The agreement is that it would cover the entirety of Celebration, including Spring Lake. So Comcast would come in and overbuild their own fiber optic network into the area, and those residents that wanted to subscribe to it, they would then put in the fiber optic line to it. Similar to, like, for instance, I have a coaxial line running to the side of my house when I bought it in Artisan Park that is probably owned by Comcast, but I don't use Comcast. Same sort of situation would happen with those folks that might be on Smart City today, that want to leave Smart City for Comcast. They would just have a fiber optic line from Smart City sitting on the side of their house, but they also are getting services from another fiber optic line from Comcast at that point in time.
Okay, it still has to be built then.
Absolutely. It has to be built everywhere in the community.
But they're going to build yours probably, I guess, because you would be paying for it sooner than any, you know what I mean? You already don't have it. You need it.
Well, no.
And right now, this agreement, this is the only way you're going to get any kind of Comcast service.
Actually,
they can have DirecTV.
No, but actually, we have 60 days to give them the plan of where they're going to put it first, which would probably be there.
Right, because right now, that's one of the reasons why Jack and I were just talking, and he said one of the reasons why we shouldn't delay this is because Spring Lake is without any kind of service at all. And those like you and those that are actually buying places, the first thing they're saying when they're trying to sell, what do I have? Well, you have Smart City, you don't have TV, that kind of stuff. This solves that problem. And we feel very bad, by the way, that you're in this position.
We knew that going in, but we were under the assumption that when we bought in there that it was never going to happen ever.
It's going to happen if we do this.
All right. Well, I'd like to move to approve this document.
Okay. So we have
Real quick before you take that motion, on Exhibit E, the hotspot addendum, I do have some questions on one of the sites because Heritage Hall is not included, but Spring Lake is, and it's because we have internet already to Spring Lake. So I just before you approve it, could you do it with the stipulation that we could still just finalize?
I think it's in the agreement right now that these are and correct me if I'm wrong here, Amy, but we went down this road because, like, for instance, the Civic Corridor is listed on there right now, but I don't need to give it to the ducks and birds that are out there right now. Nice guy, but don't need to do that. I think that we can change those as we see fit.
This is your list. They never came back and said, oh, no, we're not putting one at the amphitheater park.
You guys don't lock it in until we can get a chance to kind of...
Oh, no, no.
So it's your list.
Right, yeah, it's our list, so we can mutually agree upon it.
So you would like to motion that we approve and we modify the list of where
modify the list.
Give management the discretion to modify the list.
All right.
Or something else that we missed in this.
I'll amend my motion to include your suggestion then.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. All right, so the motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you for your
All right.
work. Sorry,
Thank you,
you're
Amy.
Thank you,
our
Amy.
consulting
No,
business, but appreciate
I
it.
think celebration's part of my DNA.
Go get an umbrella drink and sit on a beach somewhere. Right? So, but
I will point out that we did go back to Comcast, and they did provide some funds to offset the fact that this was a protracted exercise that, added additional lawyer's fees on your side, my fees. So they did, provide some funds there in recognition of that, just to kind of take the sting out of it a little bit.
thank you for everything, Amy.
Okay. Thank you also. Okay.
All right, so that was action item 1 of 20-something. So moving on to the second one, approval of the Celebration Foundation's Thriving in Place Agreement for
I
the
make a
use.
motion to approve.
I second it.
All right, any further discussion?
Yes. I just have one question on the first part of the agreement. I wanted to know if the foundation would consider allowing for the lifeguard program to be there for 2 to 3 hours a day, once or twice a week, just during the summer.
Actually, Cory and I have already discussed it as part of the agreement.
That's in the adjustment.
It's the adjustment that's in there, yeah.
What is it, July and August, you guys are here, right? Yeah.
Where is it?
It's in one, it's in the agreement.
In the scope, I think it's
Yeah.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking. So make sure the lifeguards are covered here.
Yeah, they are.
Scope of services.
It's number 4 in scope.
Because it couldn't go somewhere else. I saw it. I don't know exactly
It's on
where
the
it is.
addendum.
Yeah, there's an addendum sheet. It's A. I think it's
going
towards
down
go to
past
the
that.
end. Start at the end.
Keep going down.
Yeah, go to the end.
Page 4, number 4, Exhibit A. Keep going. It's beyond that.
It's an addendum sheet.
For her.
It's beyond the services agreement, I think.
Turn that over. Debbie, turn that page over. There it is, number
It's on
4.
the signature page. Look at the back of the signature page.
So for June, July, 9 to 3.
Yeah. Got it?
Oh, okay.
But they could still go in some days though when you're not using it, right?
Yeah, and we have the activities room available also here at this facility. So we'll
Okay.
work with Gloria and the driving program to make sure that
Okay, good, thanks.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'm just abstaining as it's a conflict as I'm on the board for the foundation.
Awesome. Thank you. So motion still carries with one abstention. Rachel.
But I heavily support it.
Gotcha. Rachel's still awake over there. Got it. Perfect. All right.
2 down.
Action item 3. So thank you guys.
Can I add one thing to action item 3?
Good Lord.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah.
We're just going to say and porches. That was noticed.
Oh, yep.
The very last thing is and porches.
Okay. So approval of changes to design guidelines for security devices and landscape lighting, fences and wall setback distances, and porches as noticed. Do I have a motion?
Can I make a motion to separate some of those? Because I think there's a question about, can we take them one at a time?
Absolutely. So let's do approval of design guidelines for security devices.
So moved.
All right. Second?
Second.
All right, and discussion. And we have our lovely Suzanne up here to try
Good evening.
to figure out anything. Any discussion on security devices? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Landscape lighting, landscape lighting fences and walls were the same one, correct, or were they separate?
No, landscape lighting is separate from fences and walls.
So do I have a motion for landscape lighting?
So move.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, I'm going to do porches, if that's okay for everyone. So porches, any, a second, or a motion, sorry.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. How about fences and walls and setback distances? So if we could get a little, I know for folks at home, we've had a couple of last minute things that have come in with some concerns in regards to fences and walls and setback distances. So if we want to open it up for discussion at this time for, I think, Lee, did you have something?
I wanted to just table that particular one
Okay.
for homeowner. We got some valuable homeowner comment. We've had some discussion, and we just may need more.
Okay, so we have a motion to table the fences and walls in a second. There is no discussion on tabling, so all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we're tabling fences and walls and setback distances. So we got everything but that.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Eric, I think just to move forward, we're probably going to have to post it again if there's significant changes. So it could
What's the
be
changes?
That additional month.
There was changes, so.
What changes? Who changed it?
So our town architect actually changed it before the meeting based on homeowner comment. They sent it out to the.
Based on a homeowner comment?
Yeah, so what we did was we put it in the homeowners for 30 days. We released it last meeting.
Who complained? How many complaints?
We got homeowner comment.
How many?
It was intelligent.
Well, we got one that at least changed our architect's view on
One
this.
person changed it.
One person with
that's
many
fair.
comments, though, Dave.
Yeah.
And valid ones. There were several that were valid.
There were some things in there that I think that were good.
Anyway, our job is to improve things, so I think it can't hurt to set it off another month. And
We always listen to resident comments
Hopefully it won't,
and take them into consideration.
Guideline.
And thank you for being here for this entire meeting. So appreciate it. Steve, could you go home? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
It's the last one.
Darn. Okay.
Eric, I've got one thing.
Go for it, Jack.
Under that tab, I'm missing porches, the design guideline is listed.
It was this,
Oh, it was this email, right?
Oh, is it over here then?
it was in the updated email.
The updated packet?
Right,
Yeah,
just
updated packet.
so long as it's included in the
It's in the updated.
the final minute thing.
Okay, it doesn't, it's new anyway. We just need to get it. It's in the paper here.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at
Okay,
it.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so action item number 4, approve the selection of Simply Voting as the vendor to manage the CROA election online voting.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll vote. Action item number 5, discussion of the website proposals. And I think we have a resident expert, staff expert here for that.
Nice to meet you.
I don't know if
We do. I'll frame it up real quick though.
Perfect.
We started looking at this with the communication committee. It's a very slimmed down communication committee, and then a lot of help from Eric Opegard, who again is our board expert on this. And we looked at some necessities for the website, included them in the scope of work, and then we sent them out to a few different companies. We got response from 4. And then we also have an additional option here, which is a website that Eric has built himself. So we are bringing back to you what we've considered to narrow down to 2 options here. The first option is ID Group at a cost of $12,955. And then the second option is Eric's option, and that's a free option. There's no charge to that. Eric put in the work for that. So when we look at this, we look at what are the pros and cons of doing it one way or the other. And when we talk about utilizing ID Group, they will do a lot of customization. And one of the important factors with the customization that we drove home with these companies is that if it's customized, can it be easily fixed, and can we do content management with staff and not have to go back to them every time we need a correction and have to pay for that correction every time. So essentially the $12,000 is buying you more of a customized look and feel to a website, and it's also buying you the support of that company. So ID Group is there always if you have questions, need assistance. And with Eric's, while he did a wonderful job with it, it's a good looking site. It is a cookie cutter site. It's something that Eric was able to download, and it's probably, I think when we looked at it, it's one of probably 600 plus other sites that are out there that kind of use that same look and feel from it. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, I think it's coming down to a question of, do you want to pay to have something that stands out as a celebration site, or do you want to utilize something that, again, Eric did a wonderful job putting it together.
You don't need to kiss my ass, Steve. Sorry.
Well, and I think you deserve the respect of the work that you did for it. So we wanted to make sure that we shared those 2 options with you. Patrick and JR have put a lot of work into this also with the research, and they're here to answer any questions that you have. But I think that that's probably where the decision lies right now.
$12,900 buys a lot of chicken dinners.
And sorry, Jack, I didn't.
Just said $12,900 buys a lot of chicken dinners.
The current situation, though, is that we're not updating our website. We're not able to do that.
The issue that the Communications Committee identified, and Patrick, correct me when I steer off course here, but the existing site that we have is overly customized. There's a lot of where WordPress is a content management system that we use today, which is a widely used content management system. The issue that we have is that it's harder for us to integrate and update things because it might break something that's been custom coded into the site that we have today. So that's one of the things where it's a challenge. The other challenge is quite honestly some of the architecture of the existing site with the way that it's coded and the way that it's designed. It's not responsive, so it looks bad on a mobile device. It doesn't work there. Our forums are using technology that's from the early 2000s. There's a lot of pieces there. So I think one of the things that's the advantage when we pushed from a customization standpoint is we pushed a customization standpoint from a visual standpoint, from a look and feel standpoint, not necessarily from a functionality standpoint. And correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, because we wanted to be able to use a plugin that if we wanted to integrate PDF viewer into our website, or we wanted to integrate video player into our website easier. It would just be a couple of button clicks rather than us having to custom code something in there or worry about where it's going to break. The other issue that we somewhat have today is the way that this existing site is designed. It's very hard for a third party to come in there and try to maintain it. It's virtually impossible for someone to come in and maintain it. They were brilliant when they designed the site, to be honest, when they did this, because it perpetuates the service agreement. And so that's the struggle that you have of bringing in a third party. I mean, WordPress is used everywhere. You can find WordPress developers wherever you go. So I think the thing to keep in mind too is that whoever we go with, if we go with ID Group, if we went with Bob's Internet website company or whatever, Patrick I know had been working on making sure that no matter who designed it, anyone could maintain it. Kind of moving forward because we wanted kind of a little bit more standardized backend. Is that right?
That's exactly
correct. Is that going to be true with both our options?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you feel confident that the staff will be able to make the changes to either of them without having to go back to ID or to Eric every time something needs to be changed?
Patrick, so we don't put him on the spot. We feel confident with the ability to be able to do those types of things. The one concern I think that we have is if Eric wins the lottery and Eric, decides that he's done, then we don't have the company that helped us build the site there to support the site. We're on our own with it.
Okay.
And I don't know that would ever happen, but that's just.
But it's a standard WordPress site.
It's a standard. That's why because it's a standard one, you can just pull up the internet. I'm wondering, does that mean that it would be easier for staff to actually maintain it?
Yeah, which one is going to take less? It's going to be easiest for you all to keep up and operate.
All right,
is there really a difference?
Both options use WordPress today.
That was a requirement.
I have faith in staff that they'd be able to update the website as is. It's just that the current website has many limitations that prevent us from changing anything.
Right. And, we knew that.
Can I ask a couple of questions here? Thanks. Sorry. Just for you at home and everything, where we said we literally have a matrix of charges, of cost, and I don't know if there's recommendation, but and what basically Eric has agreed to put together the website for basically nothing is really what it is. So and So you're not making any, I just want to say, you're not making any money off of this.
I'm not voting on this, so that we're very clear.
But it says.
And I have no financial interest.
Right, that's
in
what I
this
just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Just I want to make, I want to let them know. Now, it does say that $15 a month. My guess is hosting is somebody else is hosting.
Yeah, and you're going to end up with
Anybody's
that.
charging
You're
that.
going to end up with that with anyone. I think ID Group included it for the first month, or excuse me, first year.
Yeah.
And then beyond that,
But you're not hosting it, you're hiring outside. So there's no financial, I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
get your recommendation. So here's the difference is, I think, Steve, what you said was the ID Group for $13,000. We get a more customized site, and you said that basically, you're talking about WordPress templates. Some of them are custom, some of them are not. So Eric's choice is less custom, what we're saying. Totally understand. My thing is, I don't see, there's no pictures. What you said was the ID Group one, it sounded like you were inferring it's better looking or more customized. I can't see that. To make this, is it a $13,000 difference? If there was a picture of it, I may be able to do that. So I have to be able to decide, is a $13,000 difference nicer? Right. Now, and I think, and another thing too is yeah, I think is, that's what I asked, is, do we have Scott, in that type of thing, is maybe, should we have somebody internally that should be able to do either an Eric one or another one or anything like that? So my thing is, I think we're jumping the gun slightly. What we're doing is we're putting lipstick on a pig, where we're putting a Band-Aid on something, and we're talking about the website only. At the end of the day, what is the functionality that we want long term? And I don't think we have addressed that really. So right now in the forums, you can't put photos. It's like, it's an act of God to add photos. Every day everybody's using Facebook. More and more people are running away from our front porch because they're able to use tools that we're not giving them. So now we're not being able to control the message, or really, we maybe shouldn't use the word control, but we're not able to keep the message within ourselves. So a lot of us are signed up to the Celebration back porch in some ways. And that's where we're getting our information from. I don't remember the last time I was on the front porch. So I think, I don't want to personally spend $13,000 to just put lipstick on a pig. Maybe it was a nice, it might look nice, but my problem is we haven't addressed where are we going with the communication as an association. How are we going to address for my wife and me be able to post something on the front porch with a frickin' picture where it's not an act of God for me to do it, and for me to be able to use my login tokens probably for Facebook, or even, I don't care if we call it the Facebook front porch, so abandon that other part or do it. I don't see that we're doing this, and I'm afraid that we're jumping. That's my fear, is I don't want to spend the money to not address
So
that.
the communications committee went through that. We went through and identified a list of requirements and different things that we wanted, both blue sky as well as back to reality. Key things that were identified that we have to have: responsive design, which means that it responsibly sizes for no matter what device you're using, whether it's a tablet, mobile device, desktop computer, whatever. It uses that. Secondary one was social sign-on, was a requirement. I will admit that all of these things I'm about to tell you are stupid easy. So anyone can do this. This is stupid easy stuff.
You shouldn't have to hire out for it.
So
Can't we just make a motion?
the social sign-on is one of the things, as well as with the forums. I know that was a stumbling block for some of the bidders that we initially had, right, Patrick? Repeat that. The forum, discussion forum functionality, some of them, it was, when we initially went at them, they were a little bit of a stumbling block with it, but that is included on the bids that we have today, as well as any up-to-date forum technology that you're going to have is going to have the ability to have internal image hosting, as well as automatically embedding links, and all
Is that
all that
part
fun
of
stuff.
this? Because I don't see that. So for me to vote on $13,000 to zero, you're not selling it to me, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I don't really get the advantage of the $13,000.
I don't think there is one.
So if Eric say, as for someone that, as far as this, the site has been just for years. As a resident, it's difficult to use. You try to explain to people when they move in, and it's not up to what we need. I would like to say, one of the things I would like to do is upgrades Eric's cost to a contract where we pay him $1, so there is a contract thing. I want to ask, of course, you're not going to be actually the administrator, correct?
Nope.
That would be done on site by staff, correct?
So he just created a pay, right? You created some
$1.
template, right?
$1.
You did some work.
You
and you're
created a
handing it to
template
town
and they're
hall,
gonna
I'm
bill
guessing,
it
right?
in.
So I'm just saying, if we have such talent and so many residents in this community that are passionate about the community, Eric has answered every question I've ever seen on the front porch, the back porch barbecue, and the lanai, and I'm probably missing a couple. He's painstakingly tried to communicate with residents. Communication is clearly his skill. Computers are his skill.
I didn't say the information was correct.
Why would we, I'm not saying it's correct, but I'm just saying, why would we spend $13,000 on something that, anybody can create a website?
Can I just add? Yeah, make the motion, Debbie.
Can I add something? Essentially, for starters, when we talk about the front porch, from anyone that doesn't really know much about websites, the front porch and the forums, they're two independently run sites. So, like Lee and some of the other ones who brought up not being able to add photos to their posts, that's forums. Let's talk about forums for a second. Yes, that's outdated. And
So
that's
what's the
with
website?
this. So let's talk about forums.
Yeah.
Forums is outdated, and at that point, we will be upgrading that to the latest and the greatest.
Let
That's
me ask you this, is that with the $13,000?
That's with that.
And that's what Eric's thinking.
So the 13, maybe I didn't get, because I got the $13,000 makes a prettier website is really what I kind of got. So maybe you could tell me what the $13,000 does for the residents, and it's my fault, then maybe you could articulate.
And that's fine, and that's why, ask the questions and I'll answer them. So still on the forums, that's upgrading the forums, that's giving us the capability to add photos to our posts and take advantage of some of those, the new technology, some things that other forums can do.
So you're saying that Eric's is only doing the website, is that right?
And not the forums?
No, he's doing both.
Forums,
It says it in here.
will it include forums too, Eric?
It says he's doing forums.
Oh, you're looking at it, okay.
That's what it's.
So it does,
Patrick
oh,
has the
okay.
answers.
Yeah, Patrick has all the answers, yeah. So
Okay.
So that's it.
So yes, and that's not, the worst thing in the world to do. Yes, it is easy, and you just have to upgrade it.
Right.
But because of the restrictions on our limited website, we have to get away from that. The site's it's broken, so to say. There are plugins that are broken, and everything that we have to fix, there's a cost behind it. So we either go the free route with Eric and have our staff try to maintain that. It is limited, though. What Eric's done is essentially went out and grabbed a template that is being utilized by other communities or municipalities, what have you, and we're at that point where we can go that route or get something custom for Celebration. Celebration is not your cookie-cutter neighborhood,
right?
Nor do we want it to be. We don't want that image out there. There is going to be a cost. Complement what Celebration's about. And
Well, I guess my question would be is we can have something replace this monster that we've lived with for so many years, for free, or for, $1 upgraded you in 1 week. Can we not then investigate these other things as we've at least had something move on, or what would be the downside of that?
So you're suggesting going with Eric's site for a short term, and then still.
He can have it done in a week. We can at least get rid of what none of us can use, or well, I can't use unless you're very sophisticated with it. And then we can take some time and investigate other things if needed. But it's not like he's holding on the information or hosting it in his home. This would be done correctly. There's secure, right? Is there? I'm just saying, if we can get this done in a week, why would we wait 20 weeks?
If you totally walked away from
So let me talk about the downsides of me.
Okay.
So
You can get my bus.
I'll talk everyone out. I'll talk everyone out of me. Patrick's right. The site's currently built on top of one of the industry-leading governmental forum templates called Town Press. What I did is I took Town Press and I reformulated it for homeowners association and moved it all around. Town Press was missing some of the enhanced forum functionality. What literally I did in order to enhance a lot of that forum functionality was built-in existing plugins. So in other words, The only thing that's custom coded, literally from a custom line code item that I did on the site, was the color.
Right, somebody should know.
Because I needed to change the CSS because Lee complained about the color when he saw the site, that the green was wrong. So the green was now right.
Right.
So silly stuff like that. The downside of it is that it's me. There's me that would be training staff, that would be me that's training folks how to use this, how to fill this in, and different things like that. So that could be a downside because there's only one person there. The advantage of going with a group, with a company, is that there's obviously people behind it. There's resources, there's availability, that sort of thing. What I would say though is that no matter what we do, I would want to, if I get hit by a bus when I leave here tonight, or if ID group gets foreclosed on or whatever, someone could pick up the pieces.
Yeah,
and I think that's always what we're trying to do moving forward, is always being able to pick up the pieces no matter what we're sitting at right now.
Could you work concurrently, if you designed this and got this up in a week for this dollar, could one of these other organizations that was more service-oriented assist, because you've got this and a real job and a baby? Is there someone else that could pick up the service piece with you, that could work with you, that collaborate with you?
Well, the service piece, I would imagine, would be town hall, correct?
Well,
I'm wondering what she's
they've got
referring to the
out-of-scope
service
charges
piece.
for $150 an hour, and I don't know exactly what that means. I assume that's when something gets tricky, that it's not too easy.
If you're going to add...
If we're going to add something, probably.
They're going to charge you an extra cost.
Okay, so that's just changing the site and everything else.
And you're going to do that, probably.
Where is the, if something crashes and you're hit by...
I think that's part of your $200 maintenance monitoring fee.
Right.
So I think, when you look at this list, by the way, there's a grid that we have, and it says back-end services, yes, clean design, yes. The difference the issue I have, it says yes on every one of these for $13,000, and the free one says yes also. So that's my issue. Is I don't see that. I don't see that it's like, if you would have put a line that said much better design, much more, something. I don't see the picture. I don't see the $13,000.
And you won't see a picture because they have to come back to us. Any company that we go with,
you're gonna have them design.
Right. There's going to be a sit-down session, and we're going to go in and we're going to discuss what it is that we're looking for, branding, the full boat.
So I can show you other sites that they've done.
No. I get. I mean, we've all seen sites.
In the short term,
no one's using what we have. So
the short term,
I'm just saying, if
let's
you
just
can do
go
it in a
with
week,
everything.
if it doesn't work out, what have we lost?
I was thinking, just for the sake of time, can I get everybody, just real quick, do you feel confident, because obviously you use the front porch and all of the social media very readily, do you feel confident in saying that the residents that are going to be interfacing with either one, either ID Group or with what you're doing, will be able to do so easier and more effectively than what they're doing now?
Yes.
Okay. I motion to have Eric do the website.
Second with $1.
With $1.
Just so that there's a formal contract.
I don't have to.
All in favor, since he's...
Yeah, I can't do anything.
all right.
Okay, so.
Any opposed? Okay.
Did you vote?
Oh, no, we need discussion.
We need discussion.
We're still discussing?
Yeah.
I wanted to add $1 just so there was some type of contract and recommendation.
So.
With $1.
Okay.
With $1.
It's
a good website.
So I think what we're saying is, Eric is donating his time to help build a website for us, that he's going to leave somehow somebody in town hall. So my discussion is this. I think the other choice was $13,000 plus $200 a month for monitoring, $150 out of scope charges, and a 10-week completion. So Eric really has this already done. So it's not a 10-week completion.
It's a 1 week.
What I say to you is, I think we need a long-term plan, and we need to try to strive to, to these things. What do we want with the forums, those type of things? Let's make sure we get that kind of stuff, and make sure that we do it. I'm looking at Eric's thing. It's a template, but I can tell you, I'd rather have something that's usable than something that it, we could always fix. We could always fix it.
Because can another company monitor it? If he built it, could another company monitor it?
The company will only monitor what they provide.
They want to customize it so they could actually justify the cost of it.
Can you monitor it if we give you $200 a month?
But we don't need monitoring.
Let me talk about what monitoring normally incurs of in a web hosting world. Monitoring normally consists of you get alerted when something breaks.
Right.
I happen to have built something for another community someone that's in the audience here that I don't have a service agreement with, but I happen to get an email when something breaks. And that sort of thing. That's what monitoring is. You get uptime on the website when something breaks, if something fails, if there's a code error, any of that sort of stuff. That alerts you.
Right.
Obviously, there's time involved in that, and so that's where a company's gonna you get the advantage of having someone that can dedicate some of that time to it as well.
How long do you think it will take you to teach to get to walk away from this? Is really what I asked.
Yeah.
You poked around on the back end. How much instruction time do you think you're going to need?
For myself?
Yeah, for you.
Not much at all.
Okay.
But that's me.
I think it's more of documenting it so that, again, if Patrick wins the lottery,
sure,
we have some sort of success.
So
there's always
just have a manual on how to fix it.
If they winning the lottery, they're better off to be hit by lightning. I think that can be structured, and we can certainly look at that. And as a board, we're not going to say Eric has the only password and he hasn't let anything go. And
I don't want the only. I
give it away. Want that, and I also, in fairness to him, with this gift, would not want him to be the only person that can come in and fix things. I know from my husband having 8 websites and building them and doing all this that they have been hacked by Russia and they have been hacked by Czechoslovakia. It happens, and when they completely are broken out, it takes a ridiculous amount of time to come in and fix it. I would say that the one thing possibly on the web hosting is bump it up to a higher level, which he has done, which has helped with that, because there are more expensive hosting services that can give you another step of protection, and I would like that for several reasons, because we've got community information on there. And
so just so everyone understands where the 15 is coming from, that's pulled from a third-party hosting provider. I have no relationship to them other than I use them.
And you guys would pay it from town hall?
Yeah, it's nothing that I have an agreement with.
Can we bump that up to that? I forget.
That is the high level.
Which company is that?
In Motion Hosting. So they have 24/7, 365 US-based support for what we have. For the price point of the $15, what we also get is disaster recovery as well as co-location, which means that it's in multiple different areas. If one service center gets bombed, they have another rollover on another service center, as well as for that pricing with shared business class hosting, we're able to get disaster recovery essentially if something blows up. Is what it is.
All right, does anybody else have any? No. Okay, so since Eric is not voting on his own, helping us out and not making any money off this, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Make sure you give them a $10.99 for that dollar too.
A week, yeah.
I'm going to donate the $1. So,
You can donate it, but I should have gone for 10. I didn't want to.
6.
Just knocking them away, aren't we?
Approval to replace the picket fence at Parkview Townhomes that borders Celebration Avenue from custom fence at a cost of $3,120. This is a service area reserve expense, tab 6. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action item 7, approval of the purchase of 3 2016 Gem Polaris utility vehicles, 2 EXLD long beds at a cost of $15,639 each, and 1 E2 short bed at a cost of $11,914 for a total cost of $43,192. This is a CROA reserve expense. Do I have a motion?
Discussion.
Motion to discuss?
Sure. Yep, go ahead.
Can you just give us an update why this is needed and if it's replacing something?
Good evening.
Good, Todd.
Yeah, the old ones are down for maintenance.
Correct.
only
We're
8:30.
down by 3 nebs right now, and they're all 2002 models, so they've seen their days. They're very expensive to keep maintaining, so we haven't been maintaining them. They're just sitting there.
And Todd, can you just tell when these were, I know it's noted in our board packet just for everyone, when these were supposed to be replaced?
The reserve study showed them as a 2014, 2015, and 2016 expenditures.
Right, so we're a couple of years overdue on some of them, and some of them are broken.
What will happen with the old units that aren't going to be repaired?
Yeah, we'll put them up for sale.
Sealed bid.
Todd,
Yeah.
Todd, I have a question.
Yeah, one will be used for parts into a utility trailer.
You've given us a proposal for gems. What about Gator or Polaris, a gas motor type vehicle?
I did research all of those. Big pile of them here. They were a little less expensive by a couple of grand a piece. However, to get them street legal, it put them over the top of the price of the gems. These, since Polaris bought GEM back in 08, I believe, they've actually come out with this utility line of vehicles that we have proposed today. So they're heavier duty, different charging system, different battery system, so they should last longer for us.
Can I just ask why it needs to be street legal? Is it because the amount of times you drive on the street? Because like our landscaping companies, none of them are street legaling their Gators or anything like that. Is it because we're just, so I ask you that question.
Well, we would prefer them to be street legal. And the ones that the landscape companies drive, they're driving them everywhere. These mainly stay on the streets. You rarely see them jumping curbs and things like that.
Yeah.
They have windshield wipers, so they're out in the rain when landscapers usually aren't.
All right, now the last question is, why are we not looking at small pickup trucks?
We are. That's February.
The cost associated with small pickup trucks.
I know it's quite a bit more. We're talking about $10,000 more, but
Yes.
you get a lot more utility with that vehicle.
Well, for the jobs that the maintenance department does, these vehicles are perfect for it.
Okay.
This was this discussed during our budgeting? I'm trying to remember if we talked about this or not.
It's a reserve.
I know it's a reserve, but I think, but we talked about it.
Talk a little bit about the truck.
Yeah, I thought, that was what we, okay, I remember we discussed
All right.
something, as a truck.
So,
And it's been in the reserve study, and we've put it off for a while. So apparently, you've been spending our dollars wisely. So
Trying to, absolutely.
Any further discussion?
no,
All
move to
right.
approve it.
All those in, sorry, Rachel, did we have a second on that or anything?
Not yet.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All right, further discussion?
So that was Debbie and
Debbie and Dave.
All right.
All right, all those in favor?
Okay, go.
Aye. Opposed? Buy your nebs. All right. Action item number 8, approval of the proposal from Davy to re-landscape the Great Lawn at Lakeside Park at a cost of $19,757. This is a CROA reserve expense. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second. All right, any discussion?
yeah, go ahead.
I apologize, but I had a resident that had a question, and we had the meeting here, and I couldn't get to. Could I ask for approval for, Leonard had an access question. Could I get approval for him to ask this question?
So we have a motion to open for resident comment. Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right.
I had a couple of questions.
You gotta come to one.
Yeah, sorry.
Which way are the benches supposed to be pointed? In that,
I think the lake was what it was diagrammed to. I'm trying to remember what the diagram looked like.
The new plan shows backless benches, or as we met with Dory Moyer, and she had recommended back-to-back benches. So we're currently trying to find a good supplier of those. Demore, who we typically use, does not offer that yet, rather than just buying 2 benches and sticking them back-to-back.
So those would be the ones that the back comes up the middle, and you can face the lake or face the Great Lawn?
Correct.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's good for
We
now.
wanted to get dual purpose out of it.
couple of the other questions, since I only saw this for the first time a couple of days ago,
It's for necking.
was what were we buying the benches for? In other words, the drawing that I saw, if you looked at the benches, it actually showed them pointing out away from there. You have to kind of look at the benches very closely on that drawing to see which way they see, but they were all pointed out away, which would be more of a CROA, I'm sorry, would be more of a CCD expense, because if you want benches alongside of the lake, they've got benches alongside of the lake that CCD already has.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's why the Parks and Rec had suggested the doubles. You could either sit by the lake or look at the Great Lawn, which has not been reflected on the drawing, correct?
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Just show a backlist, which is virtually the same thing.
And this is our property, not the CDD property.
I would actually prefer a backlist for the times I want to sit on a bench. All the ones that you have that face inward, I have to go across a whole bunch of grass to get around to any of the benches, except for the one set that you have in the center of that Great Lawn area.
Gotcha.
In other words, you'd have the one set available that face across each other.
Right. Right here.
Straight across from the street. Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to find out where the benches are.
And
You have to look at this one.
the other thing that bothers me just a little bit is I've used that park for almost 20 years, and I've got a picture over here. The places that you have open right now for a wheelchair or anything to enter would be right there.
Yep.
And these actually, you have a place open, but you're kind of coming down into a swale there. Where the old entry was, which is about right here on this picture, back up in the bushes here just a little bit. I don't know if you guys can all see that.
Yep.
That's where the current entry is right now.
Okay.
It's actually up on a bit of a more level place all through there. As you go slightly forward from there, you see all the different drains, the different boxes for the water and things like that.
Right.
And that's the area that tends to gather water the most also. So it shuts off access in various ways. That was my thought.
Leonard, if we were to adjust the landscaping some and have just more of a kind of a buffer with the benches, would that give more handicap access?
Well, if you ran if you ran these back in on each side, and then maybe over on this side where you're going to have one of the benches anyway, even if it's backed or whatever, in addition to the bench, you have a 3-foot walkway on that side so you can come around to the front of it. Have one of those on each side. It pretty much equals what's there already.
Can I make a suggestion, is just to work with
Todd?
Yeah, and I mean, as long as you're not materially changing this, materially changing this design, then you don't have to come back to us.
Yeah.
But I still had some discussion.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leonard.
So, and you saw my email, so I wanted to mention it, is I felt like this should go to, because of the price, it should probably go to at least 3 vendors. And I was surprised that we haven't really talked to Gerard, who I'm unsure the response was. They're in town, they're doing, the Homeowners Association hasn't used Gerard, so I don't know how we've come up with,
they've bid on things.
No, on other bids for us, but not for,
right, they were just
so
too high.
the Homeowner Association has done stuff, but not in terms of, they've never had, we've had Davy since day one. They're in town, so I just think that at the end of the day, that I think we've benefited as a community to have 2 different landscaping contractors bid on certain things, just like I believe we'll probably have that maybe Smart City Comcast one day. We've significantly changed a lot of our dynamics and pricing and saved costs because of that. I think that, anyway, I think Gerard should probably be invited to some of the bids. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I agree. I would go for 3 bids, but I'm better with 2.
Yeah, and they have equipment in town. It's probably easier than a Valley Crest, so the economics for them are probably a little bit easier, so it might make it closer, and it might make Davy drop some of the prices. By the way, I don't say that this is anything wrong, and I like Davy, but I think that sometimes getting a little bit of outside. Anyway, that was just my comment. Not going to stop, but I think for the next time, I'd like to see them involved.
And this doesn't include the benches because we're still looking for a vendor?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And do you know roughly what we have set aside for that, or budgeted, or? Get what we can, get more.
I'm trying to think, the benches are like, what, 1,500 a piece?
Yeah, I think we were at 1,100 per bench.
And they're
But if you did the double with the,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get
But I think we were supposed to pay this off in the reserves. I remember
It
this.
is
This is something that we have, so we could afford a double bench because we literally haven't bought the benches, and I believe, it might have been 3 years. I mean, it's been a while. so-
We're well under what's planned for renovation.
Can I ask, did Dory have a recommendation for a vendor?
She did. She thought she had seen them on the Demore site, who we utilize, but none. I reached out to them and they don't. So they're trying to come up with something. But there's some out there, but they're a little too modern for the area.
I recommend we approve with the stipulation, or we've already, I was just to say to add that Leonard could work with him for the handicap access part.
Yeah. Okay.
And benches later, and to get Gerard to bid.
I think it's too late now. But I think that if we acknowledge that needs to be, especially at this threshold. Anyway, it's.
So we'll go with David.
We might come up with a good.
Yeah.
Can we vote on it already?
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Who moved and who seconded?
Debbie motioned, I seconded.
Okay.
By the way, this has gone so long, my computer has died, so I have nothing.
It's a shame.
I literally don't have.
So,
How'd you do that?
action,
Should have been a politician.
action item
Washington.
number 9, approval to purchase bollards from Rexel at a cost of $8,860 plus 10% for incidentals to be installed by the operations manager for a total cost of $9,746. This is a CROA reserve expense. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval to renovate the North Village Meeting Room at a cost of $6,059. This is a CROA reserve expense. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Discussion, the only thing that I'll say is it's a long time coming and the plan looks really nice. So thank you, Todd. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 11, approval to resurface tennis courts. You're good, Todd. Approve 4 and 5 by 90 Sports Construction with the LED light installation at a cost of $8,898. This is a CROA reserve expense. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 12, approval to renew the Jeff Ellis and Associates Comprehensive Aquatic Risk Management Program at a cost of $6,460. This is a CROA operating expense. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I would just say that probably for next year, this is a one-year agreement?
It's 1 year. Yeah, it's 1 year, 12
I would say
months.
for next year, it may be a good opportunity to start looking at, a lot of associations and smaller communities have started to look at other things other than Ellis because of the charges, and also because some of the requirements in terms of some of the things, not the Red Cross has come back and there's been a lot of other ones. So I would just say that the reason why we had Ellis from the very beginning is because Disney had it from the beginning and when we started. It's just something to look at. There's a lot more players in the business now.
Does the Red Cross provide this service?
Does what?
Does the Red Cross provide this
They do
service?
now. People went away from, one of the reasons why Disney went away from Red Cross is because they didn't have water park safety. When Disney started building water parks, and they had Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, so they went to Ellis and Associates because they specialize in water parks. So then what they did was they certified all the lifeguards at Walt Disney World with Ellis and Associates, and they went away from Red Cross.
Who's Disney using now?
They're still using Ellis.
Because of the water parks.
Because of the water parks. But a lot of communities and smaller pools and YMCAs are starting to go away from that. But all I'm saying is you have, next year it would be nice to see, and maybe you just come back to this, but it'd be nice just not to do something just because we've done it in the past. That's all.
All righty. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval to update reserve study in 2016 to include initial reserve study on Spring Lake Townhomes and Amenity Center at a cost of $19,200. Excuse me, this is a CROA reserve expense. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
The discussion that I had, the question that I have is this a CROA reserve expense or is this a service area expense?
It says reserve
It's a
expense.
reserve expense.
So we pay for...
What
are we
We
upgrading?
pay for our reserve expense as we go along.
Gotcha, okay.
You're just moving this to reserves.
No.
No.
We will update our reserves, but we're going to pay for it out of our reserves.
Reserves, but what are we updating? It's like a year old?
No, because we now have
No, now
We have new amenities.
When new amenities come on, we have to now put them in the study and...
figure out when we're going to replace them and how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
It's just something we do every time we have
We have
more
a new
amenities.
But we did talk, some discussion we had was, when's our entire reserve study? When are we updating our entire reserve study? So this is going to be.
We're just going to do it. We're just going to do it now since
Yeah,
okay.
it's due in 2016.
So this is the
Our
total.
last time was August, we received it in August of 2013.
We're going to speed up and we're going to do it, time it, so.
We're just doing it a couple months earlier. is
So
all.
just so we're clear, this reserve study is the total reserve study at $19,200.
The whole reserve is
Okay.
adding.
That answers the
Got it.
question.
Okay.
That's better.
Any further discussion? No. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Rachel, did you get the?
Oh, sorry.
Very quickly, I
It
missed
was.
Did I do it?
I think it
I'll
was
do
you
it.
two, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah.
It was the Dave and Jack show, I thought.
Jack.
That
Says service area.
Yeah, that's what everyone cares.
Yeah, for the service area, for the reserve, we're adding the service area to the reserve study.
And then you're adding, you're
Why
doing
are
a
we
new reserve.
paying for the
Yeah.
service area? We're going to be broken out by that.
No, because it's part of the reserve study. We do it, yeah. Correct? The service areas don't pay for their own reserve study. Yeah, okay.
I'm tired.
Okay, 14, approval to write off bad debt from advertisers in Celebration News totaling $7,685. Do I have a motion?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Action item 15, approval of 3 fines to be converted to specific assessments totaling $15,000. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
This
And a
this
second.
didn't change, right? This was.
That one,
This one did not
this one didn't change, yeah. Any further discussion?
I have a question. The door hardware Grand Magnolia, that is North Village?
Yes,
Magnolia
that's
is North
that's
Village,
Georgetown.
Yeah.
So this is, the door, can we just specify what the door hardware issue was?
It's not according to
Susanna,
the
are you still on
standards.
time? For 315 Grand Magnolia, the door hardware, $5,000 fine?
They update, didn't everybody update the hardware?
This is for the S9 conversion?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, and the address is what?
The one in Georgetown.
The one in Georgetown.
North Village, Georgetown.
Okay, Georgetown has an approved hardware, and so when resales come up, that is listed as a change the homeowner has to make. And so the management has also notified residents, so when the resale comes up and it's not done, we follow up through the covenants process, and we have not been able to get any kind of response from that homeowner, so.
I apologize to Todd and JR. Susanna did say more than 2 words, and I didn't ask her to come up. So just for everyone, essentially, we had the management required the hardware to be changed. It didn't get changed, so we're now fining them because of the resale agreement. All right?
Specific assessment.
Do I?
I'm sorry, we have a realtor here with the,
Yeah, I have a motion to open the floor up for comment.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yes, ma'am.
A question regarding the condo associations, of which there are 11. It's become quite a burden on new homeowners who were not told about, for example, the Mulberry Street that's managed, the management company is CCMC. And there are 19 or 20, there are 10 that have bright grassy things the owners put on, and all of a sudden it's got to go back to an old grass. It's very difficult, if CCMC might want to help, since they're managing it, determine what that standard is. It's really egregiously difficult for new owners to come in. They're going back after old owners who have moved away, who thought they had done the proper thing. So I think we really need, especially CCMC, as the people everybody looks up to, really to get together and decide. Not just say go back to the
What is CCMC managing? Isn't it?
The service area.
It's a service area, so it's us.
Yeah.
Right. It's a
Right.
service area.
Service area.
Yeah, it's not, they're not managing an outside, it's a service
I
area.
know that, as you said, Georgetown. has
That's a different
been
story.
covering the recent inspection, they would have known it
was
But service areas are getting really sticky and it's causing a lot of bad will among newcomers to the town. It wasn't noted, or, you know, the old people said, I was told to put on new and had to match, but it wasn't what they had to match. So they had to match, but it wasn't the what to match. Do you know what I'm saying? It's very sticky. I think we need to get like something done without finding people.
Kathy, Teresa Flores Sweet is our service area manager, and we actually had a conversation a couple of months ago with Susanna, And we're going to go through each service area and create the standards with the service area owner's blessing and be able to distribute those design guidelines, if you will, to the service areas so that they will have some standards to follow moving forward.
And do you think there's a chance that you could take the ones that just moved all along Mulberry, new people moved in, that you could send them a letter and give them
Absolutely.
Give them a time and say, okay, stop, don't send them any more letters, and just say we're still working on it, because now they're fighting amongst each other, and I just not a good look. So maybe if you can let them know, all the service areas, hold it, we're going to converse with you, we're your management company, but we heard you guys. And I think that'd be a lot of goodwill.
Steve, I assume you're not drawing a Christmas tree. You're taking notes, so we'll hand this.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. I do feel that $5,000 is a large fine, but I know that's what's set, and I respect that. But when we speak about the service areas, I had the opportunity to go out to Spring Lake, that new area, and found the landscape was just atrocious. And I just have a problem finding people for hardware in their door when there are people out there. One homeowner had absolutely no grass. I took photos, and I'm sure there's a reason, and there's this and there's that and there's Davy and everything else. There were branches laying on the ground that hadn't been picked up in weeks. There were trees that are supposed to be trimmed by Davy that are onto their balcony. It looked pathetic and sad, and I just have a problem finding a homeowner $5,000 for a piece of hardware on their door that I don't see, but I just see people's lawns, and I don't know if...
Well, maybe when they get the bill, they'll call us.
Well, that's what starts the appeal process, too.
I think that we're...
I know.
Whenever we say
beyond here.
fine $5,000 for a door thing, it makes it sound like it's egregious.
Horrible. I know.
But the fact is, in order for them to get the fine of $5,000, they didn't respond to letters, they didn't do something.
Any of them.
They didn't get to this point, and unfortunately, our only teeth in this is to actually do that.
Yeah.
So.
And I agree with that, but what is the homeowner's recourse when we are for our service areas that we manage, they can't find us, right? I mean, what's their recourse?
Well, we know that there are issues with the lawns and with some of the plantings in Spring Lake, and we're actually working with the developer to come up with a solution for that.
Now, these are inside the yards that Davies...
Well, it is, actually. It's in the management report. You had discussed that.
Yeah, but they're probably warranty items, right? That you can go back to the developer who
and say,
planted those.
Where's my
and
lawn?
we are doing that. If you in the management report, there was a lot.
We get back on this.
So if they had a lawn and it totally died, that's the developer's problem, not Davy?
I'm not sure whose problem it is at this point, because there's irrigation, there's all kinds of issues.
But can you go out there and take a look at it, somebody?
Absolutely. Email me that.
Can we vote on this, Eric? Please, Eric, can we vote on it?
We have a call for questions. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Actually, item 14, approval. I'm sorry.
16.
Yeah, sorry, losing my spot here. Approval to initiate the finding process for 15 non-compliance items through the notification of the covenants meeting to confirm or reject the fine. CTEB 16. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is that the one that you just updated, though?
No.
This last one is that.
Oh, got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Did you get that, Rachel? Jack and then Dave.
Check and Dave.
This was not an update. This,
Yes, for this one,
yeah, no, this.
Gotcha.
This is in accordance with the state statute.
State statute one. Right? 17, approval to have CCMC send 12 service area intent to lien letters to owners delinquent and their December assessments. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Vanessa Diana.
Okay.
I'll third it then.
Okay. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval to have, approval of 3 homeowner requests for December totaling $117.95. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm going to start with that one. Can I do this in 2 spats with everyone? Okay.
There's 3.
So the first one, do I have a motion?
So move.
All right, a second?
Second.
And discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. This is the revised one. Disapproval of 5 payment plans requested by 3 of the homeowners.
Motion.
Do you have a motion? Okay, and a second.
Second.
Management does not recommend?
Yes, these are
Right.
these are the 5 that they're-
So what's the motion for? I'm sorry.
To disapprove.
To not approve the...
Management's recommendation.
Management recommendation to not approve the payment plan.
Perfect, okay.
Motion to,
Okay, further discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 19, approval of 7 attorney-instructed write-offs for December totaling $90,250.30. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All right, discussion.
These are all attorney recommendations, correct? We're done with them. We can't do anything.
We're stuck.
We're stuck.
Go ahead.
What, I know in these particular situations, there are foreclosures and tax sales and all that stuff.
Administrative thing.
Just, can you refresh everybody on what we are doing in order to prevent getting to this point?
Other than moving forward in lien foreclosure on accounts that are delinquent, which we do, if they're in mortgage foreclosure, our hands are pretty much tied. So with these that are in foreclosure,
You can't do anything.
we really can't do anything.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
No, it's strictly administrative.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of 2 legal requests as advised by the attorney. Do I have a motion?
So move.
And a second, okay? Discussion?
I need to recuse myself.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And Debbie recused herself. Action item 21, which is a revised one. Approval to send one account with extreme noncompliance issues that is also delinquent and in mortgage foreclosure to the attorney to begin the lien foreclosure process. This is tab 21.
Well, actually, this is extra page.
Yeah, extra page, last page.
Are we doing this as a group or doing it as a?
It's just one.
It's just one. It's just one account.
It's just a really long list.
I got it.
Yeah.
It is, okay. It's this.
Yeah, it's that one.
So move.
A second?
Second.
Discussion.
Well, this one-
This was all you needed, right? Susanna?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, they keep pushing the date.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Does anyone have any strategic planning goals that they would like to update? Does anyone have a comment for the good of the order? There being none, I move to adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Wow. Good night. 8:59.
Not bad.
I got out before 9 o'clock.
21 items and we wrapped it, even with lots of discussions.
Well, smart city.
Well, I also think that,
Take a long time. It's 5 years of contract.
So, that's all right. Hi, how are you? Good.